The divine sword is invincible. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1, World of Martial Spirits. The sun was rising. In the back mountain of the Yang family, a child who looked about 7 or 8 years old was constantly walking around, sometimes as quiet as a virgin, sometimes as fast as a rabbit, and when he punched, a strong airflow blew up. Yang Xiaoshan has been in this world for 7 years. He has been practicing Taikai since he was 4 years old. In his previous life, he was a descendant of the Wudang sect on Earth. This Taikai Sutra is the profound and unique martial art of the Wudang sect. Although he has only practiced it for 3 years, he has already possessed considerable internal strength. Although he is still a child, he can knock an ordinary adult back several meters with one punch, and 2 or 3 ordinary adults cannot get close to him. Just as Yang Xiaoshan was practicing Taikai Sutra, footsteps were heard at the foot of the mountain. Yang Xiaoshan knew who was coming without looking back. He stopped practicing and looked over. It was a little girl with long braids, big round eyes, and cute and elf-like. Seeing the little girl, Yang Xiaoshan smiled. The little girl was his sister Yang Linga, who was 1 year younger than him. Yang Linga walked up the mountain and saw Yang Xiaoshan from a distance. She smiled sweetly and said, "Brother, I knew you had sneaked to the back mountain to play with monkeys again." Playing with monkeys? Yang Xiaoshan's forehead was black and he said, "This is not playing with monkeys. This is the profound Wudang Taikai Sutra." He had explained it to this girl so many times. Yang Linga stuck out her tongue and said mischievously, "It's just playing with monkeys." Yang Xiaoshan was speechless. Anyway, he couldn't win the argument with this girl every time. "What do you want to talk to me about?" Yang Xiaoshan looked at this little sister warily. Every time she came to the back mountain to look for him, it was definitely not good. "It's my father and mother who are looking for you." Yang Linga shook her pigtail and looked mysterious. "It seems that they want to take you into the city to awaken your martial soul." Martial soul awakening. Yang Xiaoshan's heart was shocked. Martial soul awakening. Of course he knew that this world was called the martial soul world. When children reach a certain age, they must awaken their martial souls. Only when the martial soul is awakened can they practice. Yang Xiaoshan clenched his fists, feeling excited. He had been looking forward to this day for a long time. He had been in this world for several years, and he had long wanted to know whether he had a martial soul, or what kind of martial soul he had. "Brother, you should go back soon. Father and mother can't find you, and they will definitely be angry and spank you again," Yang Linga said seriously with her pink face raised. "Okay, then let's go back quickly." Yang Xiaoshan smiled and pulled Yang Linga's pigtails and walked towards Yang Jiazhuang at the foot of the mountain. Yang Linga chased after him and shouted, "Brother, if you dare to pull my pigtails again, I will tell mother and others that you are playing monkeys in the back mountain." The brother and sister chased after each other with laughter. Soon, they returned to Yang Jiazhuang. When they returned to Yang Jiazhuang, many people had gathered in the hall. This time, in addition to Yang Xiaoshan, Yang Jiazhuang also had his uncle's son Yang Chang. When Yang Chao saw his son Yang Xiaoshan coming back, he snorted and frowned, but it was not easy to scold Yang Xiaoshan in public. He glared at Yang Xiaoshan and said, "I will deal with you when I come back." Yang Xiaoshan's grandfather, Yang Ming, the old owner of Yang Jiazhuang, saw that everyone had arrived and said in a loud voice, "Since everyone is here, let's set off. Because only the nearby Xingyu city has the magic array for martial soul awakening. The purpose of this time is Xingyu city." Yang Jiazhuang is not far from Xingyu city, so more than an hour later, everyone came to the square of Xingyu city for martial soul awakening. The square for martial soul awakening is open. As long as you pay a certain amount of gold coins, you can awaken your martial soul. When everyone arrived, there were already quite a few people gathered in the square. In addition to Yang Jiazhuang, Xingyu city also had some disciples from other families who came to awaken their martial souls. It was quite lively. Soon, it was the turn of the Yang family. After Yang Ming stepped forward to pay the fee for the martial soul awakening, the masters of Xingqiu City infused their power and activated the array. Suddenly, a hexagonal array pattern rose from the ground. "Chonja, you go first." Yang Ming smiled kindly and waved to Yang Chang. As the eldest grandson of the Yang family, Yang Ming doted on him very much. "Yes, Grandpa," Yang Zhang replied, and walked to the center of the formation pattern under the gaze of everyone. Enveloped by the power of the formation pattern, Yang Zhang's whole body was surging with light. Suddenly, a phoenix cry resounded through the heavens and the earth, and a giant bat appeared in the sky above Yang Zhang's head. This giant bat was covered in flames, and its wings were spread out. It was 10 meters long, and an astonishing power spread out. Everyone at the scene was shocked. Yang Ming looked at the giant bird in front of him, and after being shocked, he couldn't help but tremble with excitement. It's King Luan. It's the 10th level martial spirit King Luan. The grades of martial spirits range from low to high, from 1 to 10, or super martial spirits that exceed 10th level. Super martial spirits are very rare, and 10th level is already a top talent. No wonder Yang Ming was so excited. Yang Zhang's father Yang He and the masters from the Yang family were all very excited. "Congratulations, Master Yang." Li Guang, the master of the Li family, stepped forward, cupped his fists, and said to Yang Ming with a smile, "The Yang family has produced an extraordinary genius. It's really enviable. The Li family is one of the largest families in Xingqiu City, and its strength is 1 point stronger than that of Yang Jiazhuang." Upon hearing this, Yang Ming laughed out loud, cupped his fists and said politely, "Thank you, Brother Li. Please take care of me in the future." Anyone could see the pride and excitement in Yang Ming's heart. Other masters of Xingqiu City also stepped forward to congratulate Yang Ming and Yang He. Yang Ming and Yang He smiled from ear to ear. In the envious eyes of everyone, Yang Zhang walked out of the formation with brilliance. Although he was still young, he also understood what a level 10 martial spirit meant. In the future, he will be a child of destiny. When he passed by Yang Zhao, he glanced at Yang Zhao proudly. Seeing Yang Zhang's pride, Yang Zhao frowned. Although Yang Zhang was his uncle's son, he often targeted him and his sister Yang Linga because of his grandfather's doting on him. Although Yang Zhang was the first to start trouble, his grandfather always sided with Yang Zhang, and he and his sister Yang Linga were often scolded. "Zhao, it's your turn." At this time, Yang Ming said to Yang Zhao. Yang Zhao responded and walked to the center of the formation pattern. Because Yang Zhang was a level 10 martial spirit, he was somewhat nervous standing in the center of the formation pattern. After all, in the martial spirit world, whether or not there is a martial spirit in the level of the martial spirit will determine a person's future. Other family masters from Xingqiu City at the scene also looked at Yang Zhao. They also wanted to know what martial spirit Yang Zhao, who was also Yang Ming's grandson, had awakened. Yang Chao also looked at his son nervously and prayed silently in his heart. In the center of the formation pattern, wrapped in the power of the formation pattern, Yang Zhao felt very warm, and soon, light surged on his body. Yang Chao's heart tightened. But, with a subtle sound, a shadow flew out of Yang Zhao's body and appeared behind him and above his head. Chapter 2 Grandpa is partial. What appeared behind Yang Zhao was a huge black turtle. A small black snake was wrapped around the huge turtle. The black snake was so small that it was ignored. Everyone was stunned when they saw Yang Zhao's martial soul. What a big turtle. Suddenly, a master from Xingqiu City burst into laughter. It's actually a turtle martial soul. Haha, Yang Ming, your grandson's martial soul is really weird. Everyone reacted, and many masters from Xingqiu City laughed. Yang Ming looked at the huge turtle above Yang Zhao's head and his face turned ugly when he heard it. It's actually a turtle? Although the turtle is not a first level useless martial soul, it is only slightly better than a useless martial soul. It is an extremely useless second level martial soul. The speed at which the turtle martial soul devours the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is extremely slow. If you have a turtle martial soul, you can't catch up with others who practice for 10 days, even if you practice for a year. Yang Chao, who was originally expecting and praying, turned pale, as if he had fallen into the abyss. His son's martial soul is actually a turtle? a spirit like a turtle. Even if you practice madly for a lifetime, you can never become a true spirit master. At this time, the Zingayu City master laughed again. It seems that our Zingayu City has the first turtle spirit. Yang Ming, your grandson has broken our Zingayu City's record. Yang Ming's face became even uglier when he heard this. While everyone around him laughed, Yang Xiaoshan was staring at his spirit in a daze. His spirit was very similar to the Xuanwu in the Chinese legend on Earth. Xuanwu is a super beast. Yang Ming saw that Yang Xiaoshan was still standing in the formation diagram, staring at his turtle spirit in a daze, and he was furious and scolded. "Shame on you, come down quickly." Yang Xiaoshan walked out of the formation diagram, looked at the angry Yang Ming, hesitated for a moment, and explained, "Grandpa, my spirit should not be a turtle." Yang Ming saw that Yang Xiaoshan had the nerve to quibble, and his face turned blue with anger. "Take this little thing back to me." After that, he left angrily. He was too ashamed to stay any longer. Seeing Yang Ming leave, the masters of Yang Jiazhuang also hurriedly followed and left Zingayu City. Li Guang, the head of the Li family, also shook his head when he saw Yang Ming leave angrily. Who would have thought that, as Yang Ming's grandsons, one had a level 10 martial spirit and the other had a level 2 martial spirit. Back at Yang Jiazhuang, Yang Ming became more and more angry and said to Yang Chao, "Look at the good son you gave birth to. If he dares to leave Yang Jiazhuang in the future, I will break his legs." Today, Yang Xiaoshan made him lose face in front of the masters of Zingayu City. Yang Ming left with a wave of his sleeves. After Yang Ming left, Yang He smiled at Yang Chao and said, "Second brother, don't take it too seriously. Father has this temper, but I didn't expect Xiaoshan's martial spirit to be a turtle." Anyone could hear the gloating in Yang He's words. Yang He left with his son Yang Zong and others. Before Yang Zong left, he smiled at Yang Xiaoshan and said, "Xiaoshan, we have to have a good fight in the family competition at the end of the year, but you have to practice hard. Don't let me knock you away with one punch." Looking at Yang He, Yang Zong and others who left, Yang Chao looked grim. He turned to look at his son Yang Xiaoshan, opened his mouth, and finally sighed and said, "Xiaoshan, it's okay. As long as you practice hard, you will not lose to Yang Zhang, and you can become an innate warrior." But is this possible? Yang Chao and Yang Xiaoshan returned to their west courtyard. Seeing Yang Chao and Yang Xiaoshan coming back, Yang Xiaoshan's mother Huang happily came out to greet them, and asked Yang Chao, "How is it? What martial spirit did Xiaoshan awaken?" Yang Chao looked decadent. He looked at his wife's expectant expression, and finally shook his head and said nothing. Yang Xiaoshan wanted to explain, but in the end he said nothing, and returned to his room. He knew that it was useless for him to explain anything now, so he would let the facts speak for themselves. The night was dark. Yang Xiaoshan sat cross-legged on the bed in the room, and activated his martial soul according to the prajna gong that his father had passed on to him during the day. Soon, a huge turtle shadow appeared above his head. In the eyes of Yang Ming, Yang Zong and others, the second level martial soul turtle, which was only slightly better than a useless martial soul, opened its huge mouth and swallowed it. Suddenly, the spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth rushed towards Yang Xiaoshan like a flood. Boom. Yang Xiaoshan's whole body was shocked. The fierce spiritual energy of heaven and earth almost drowned Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan was shocked. This is too fierce. Although he guessed that his martial soul might be the super beast Xuanwu, the horror of swallowing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was still far beyond his imagination. The spiritual energy flowed rapidly in his meridians and was constantly transformed into his internal fighting spirit. Under the nourishment of his soul power, his martial soul also surged with light. The small black snake that was originally coiled around Xuanwu was actually growing bigger and bigger, and at the same time, opened its mouth to swallow the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Although the little black snake is not big, its speed of swallowing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is not slower than that of Xuanwu. Seeing that the little black snake swallowed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth at the same time as Xuanwu, Yang Xiaoshan felt strange in his heart. Could he have twin martial spirits? And the little black snake is not lower than Xuanwu's grade. Thinking of this, Yang Xiaoshan's heart speeded up. He has been in the martial spirit world for several years. He still knows some situations in the martial spirit world. Although super martial spirits are rare, they are still heard occasionally. However, he has never heard of anyone in the martial spirit world who has twin super martial spirits. Unknowingly, a night passed. When Yang Xiaoshan stopped practicing, it was already bright. However, what Yang Xiaoshan couldn't believe was that after a night of practice, he actually successfully broke through to the first level. His uncle Yang Hei's martial spirit is the 8th level top martial spirit Earth Bear, which took 3 or 4 months to break through to the first level. As for his grandfather Yang Ming, his martial spirit is an ordinary 8th level Grey Wolf, which took a full 6 months to break through to the first level. And now, he only took 1 night. To be exact, it took only a few hours. Yang Xiaoshan came to the yard and punched a big rock in the corner. A fist mark appeared on the rock, several inches deep. All this was true. He had indeed broken through to the first level. Now he was a genuine first level warrior. Seeing that he had broken through to the first level in 1 night, Yang Xiaoshan was excited. If this was the case, it wouldn't take long for him to break through to the 10th level and become a congenital warrior. At this time, there was a quarrel in his parents' room. Yang Xiaoshan was puzzled. His parents had always loved each other and had never quarreled. He didn't know what they were quarreling about. He walked closer to his parents' room. Father is too bullying. Mother Huang Ying's choked voice sounded. According to the rules of Yang Jiazhuang, all disciples of Yang Jiazhuang will have a portion of foundation building spiritual liquid after their martial spirits awaken. This is what father decided, but last night he gave Xiaoshan's portion of foundation building spiritual liquid to Yang Zhang to swallow. Also, you have been managing the family's silk business before, but now father suddenly announced that you are not allowed to interfere in the silk business anymore and let your eldest brother be in charge of both the mines and the silk business. What does this mean? Yang He and Yang Zhang are his sons and grandsons. Aren't you and Xiaoshan his sons and grandsons? Father is too partial. Chapter 3 Sister was beaten. Hearing this, Yang Xiaoshan clenched his fists. He didn't expect his grandfather to be so partial. Not only did he give all his foundation building spirit liquid to Yang Zhang for cultivation, he also handed over the silk business that his father originally managed to his uncle. All this was because he awakened the turtle spirit? Because he made him lose face in front of everyone in Xingyu City? So even his father was angry. Yang Xiaoshan returned to his room and continued to cultivate. Didn't his grandfather give all his foundation building spirit liquid to Yang Zhang for cultivation? Then he would let the people of Yang Jiazhuang know that, even if he didn't have the foundation building spirit liquid, he would still be stronger than Yang Zhang. Just as Yang Xiaoshan continued to cultivate in Yang Zhang's yard, Yang Ming looked at his grandson Yang Zhang with satisfaction. Yang Zhang really didn't disappoint him. After swallowing 2 portions of foundation building spirit liquid last night, the effect of cultivation was better than he imagined. King Luan is indeed a level 10 spirit with the blood of the descendants of ancient mythical beasts. How do you feel? Yang Ming asked his grandson Yang Zhang with a loving face. Yang Zhang was full of confidence. Grandpa, don't worry. In a month, before the family annual meeting, I will definitely break through the first level and become a first level warrior. 1 month, 1 level. When Yang Ming heard this, his eyes lit up and he laughed. Okay, if you can break through the first level before the family annual meeting, Grandpa will reward you handsomely. If Yang Zhang can break through the first level and become a first level warrior in 1 month of practice, it will definitely break the record of Xingyu City and shock Xingyu City. By then, in Xingyu City, he will be more than proud. Several days passed. Yang Ming went to Yang Zhang's yard every day and personally instructed Yang Zhang to practice. Seeing that his grandson Yang Zhang was making rapid progress every day, Yang Ming was very happy. It seemed that Yang Zhang would be able to break through the first level in less than a month. And Yang Xiaoshan also worked hard to practice without leaving his house. That night, Yang Xiaoshan was absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Suddenly, a subtle sound rang out in his body, like a spring silkworm breaking out of its cocoon. Yang Xiaoshan was delighted. After 4 days of hard practice, he finally made another breakthrough and entered the second level. In the martial arts world, even many geniuses with 10th level martial arts spirits usually need to practice for 3 or 4 months to break through to the second level, but he only took 4 days. Yang Xiaoshan could not suppress his excitement. Although he did not know if there was anyone in the martial arts world who broke through to the second level in 4 days, there was definitely no one in their Shenhe country. After dawn, Yang Xiaoshan stopped practicing and felt refreshed and full of energy. He came to the yard and began to practice Teikai Sutra. Every move was smooth and flowing. As he walked, a stream of air swirled around his body. After breaking through the second level of warriors, Yang Xiaoshan found that his internal strength had also improved. Just as Yang Xiaoshan was practicing Teikai Sutra, he saw his sister Yang Linga running in from outside crying. Yang Xiaoshan felt strange and was about to ask when he saw a red palm print on his sister's pink face, and the whole left side of her face was red and swollen. Seeing his sister's red and swollen left face, Yang Xiaoshan was furious. "Who hit you?" Yang Linga cried out, but kept shaking her head and refused to say anything. Yang Xiaoshan saw that the palm print was not big, it should be a child of the same age, and angrily asked, "Did Yang Zhang hit you?" Yang Linga still shook her head and cried. Although his sister didn't say anything, when Yang Xiaoshan asked about Yang Zhang, her expression was still a little wrong. Yang Xiaoshan was furious. "Let's go, big brother, and you will go to settle accounts with him." At this point, he pulled his sister up to find Yang Zhang. But as soon as he pulled his sister up, his sister Yang Linga said it hurt. Yang Xiaoshan was puzzled and couldn't help but pull up his sister's sleeves. He saw shocking whip marks on both arms. Although there was no bleeding, it was painful to look at. Yang Xiaoshan was furious. "Yang Zhang also whipped you?" His sister Yang Linga had tears in her eyes and finally nodded and cried. "Yang Zhang called you a turtle. I was so angry that I scolded him. What happened afterwards is self-evident." Yang Xiaoshan was furious. He dragged his sister out of the yard to find Yang Zhang. Not far from the yard, he saw Yang Zhang and the sons of several managers of Yang Jiazhuang walking over with their arms around each other, holding whips and talking and laughing. "Yang Zhang, you hit my sister?" Yang Xiaoshan rushed over. Yang Zhang looked at the angry Yang Xiaoshan and didn't take it to heart. He laughed and said, "Yes, I hit her." "What, you turtle want to stand up for your sister?" As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Xiaoshan rushed out and slapped him. Yang Xiaoshan practiced Teikai Sutra and was agile. Yang Zhang couldn't avoid it. He was slapped on the left face by Yang Xiaoshan. Snap. With a crisp sound, Yang Zhang staggered and almost fell to the ground. Yang Zhang was slapped so hard that his head was dizzy and his ears were buzzing. He looked incredulous. Since his martial spirit awakened, he had been the pride of Yangjia village. His grandfather doted on him and was afraid that he would fall. Yang Xiaoshan actually dared to hit him. Yang Xiaoshan, who had awakened a second level martial spirit, actually dared to hit him. "You dare to hit me?" Yang Zhang covered his face and shouted angrily, and then shouted at the children of Yangjia village present, "What are you doing standing there? Hit me." Upon hearing this, several children of Yangjia village came forward to besiege Yang Xiaoshan. However, these children of the same age were no match for Yang Xiaoshan and were quickly knocked down by Yang Xiaoshan one by one. Seeing this, Yang Zhang picked up the whip and whipped Yang Xiaoshan in the face. If this whip hit him, it would definitely not be light. Yang Xiaoshan dodged, grabbed the opponent's whip, whipped the whip over, and then whipped it back with his backhand. Yang Zhang's arm was whipped, and he cried and shouted in pain. "Yang Xiaoshan, wait until I break through the first level. I will not let you go at the family's year-end meeting." Family's year-end meeting? At this time, a sound of footsteps was heard, and it was obvious that Yang Zhang's crying and shouting alarmed everyone in Yang Jiazhuang. The first person to rush to the scene was Yang He. As soon as Yang He arrived at the scene, he saw Yang Zhang crying and shouting. Yang Zhang saw his father coming, pointed at Yang Xiaoshan, and cried, "Father, Yang Xiaoshan hit me in the face. Then he pulled up his sleeves. He also whipped me with a whip." Yang He looked at his son's swollen face and the whip marks on his arm, and suddenly became furious. Without asking the reason, he angrily said to Yang Xiaoshan, "You are so young, and you are so cruel. Your parents don't know how to teach you, so I will teach you well." At this point, he raised his palm and was about to slap Yang Xiaoshan in the face. "Brother, stop it." Yang Cheo rushed over and saw it from a distance and screamed. Yang He saw Yang Chao coming and had to stop. Just as he was about to question him angrily, he saw his father Yang Ming coming as well. What happened? Yang Ming asked from a distance. Father, it was Zhaoshan. He hit Chonja in the face and whipped him with a whip. Yang He stepped forward and said, Chonja's face is swollen. What? Yang Ming's face changed and he stepped forward to take a look. Sure enough, his grandson Yang Chang's face was swollen. Chapter 4, a competition. You actually hit your own brother so hard. Yang Ming looked at his grandson Yang Zhang's face and arms, feeling extremely distressed, pointing at Yang Zhaoshan and angrily. Yang Zhaoshan said, he was the first to hit my sister's face, and he also whipped my sister with a whip. At this time, everyone saw Yang Linger's red and swollen face, and the shocking whip marks on both arms. Yang Linger's thin arms had at least 7 whip marks. Yang Ming turned a blind eye and pointed at Yang Zhaoshan, shaking with anger. You hit your own brother and dared to talk back. Come on, lock him up in the ancestral house for a day, and no one can bring him food during this day. No food for a day. Yang Chao's face changed. Father, it was already deep winter, and the ancestral house was extremely cold, and it was even colder at night. A 7-year-old child like Yang Zhaoshan was locked up in the ancestral house for a day without food or water, and it would be difficult to survive. What are you still standing there for? Lock him up in the ancestral house. Yang Ming shouted angrily at a manager of Yang Jiazhuang. Seeing that the steward was about to take her brother away, Yang Linger cried and hugged Yang Zhaoshan, saying to Yang Ming, Grandpa, please don't lock my brother up in the ancestral house, please. Yang Ming was indifferent. In the end, Yang Zhaoshan was imprisoned in the ancestral house in the back mountain. The wooden door of the ancestral house was closed, and the world became quiet. Yang Zhaoshan looked at the tablets of the ancestors of the Yang family in the ancestral house through the dim light, but his heart was very peaceful. Not allowed to eat for a day. Unexpectedly, after he awakened the secondary turtle martial spirit, his grandfather hated him to such an extent. Yang Zhaoshan sat down cross-legged and began to practice Prajna Gong, urging his martial spirit to devour the spiritual energy of heaven and earth wholeheartedly. Being locked in the world of the ancestral house, Yang Zhaoshan had no distracting thoughts, and the speed of devouring the spiritual energy of heaven and earth seemed to be faster, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was constantly transformed into spiritual power in his body. At night, the ancestral house was filled with cold wind, but Yang Zhaoshan did not feel cold or hungry at all. The world was silent, and his perception continued to extend, and he could even hear the chirping of insects 100 meters away. After an unknown amount of time, he suddenly heard the sound of breaking out of his cocoon again. Yang Zhaoshan was delighted. He finally made another breakthrough and entered the 3rd level. He also found that he seemed to have undergone some transformation, and his perception was far beyond what it was before. Being locked up in the ancestral house was a blessing in disguise. A day later, Yang Zhaoshan was finally released. His father Yang Chao, mother Huang Ying, and sister Yang Linger were all waiting outside the ancestral house. When they saw Yang Zhaoshan coming out, his mother Huang Ying secretly wiped her tears and hugged Yang Zhaoshan tightly. Yang Linger cried even more. Mom, I'm fine. Yang Zhaoshan smiled at his mother. I want to be locked up for a few more days. This was the truth. In the following days, Yang Zhaoshan, like before, almost never left his house and practiced in his own yard. After Yang Zhan was slapped, he became much more obedient and stayed in his own yard to practice hard. Knowing that Yang Zhan stayed in his yard and practiced like himself, Yang Zhaoshan's face was calm. He certainly knew why Yang Zhan practiced so hard. Yang Zhan just wanted to break through the 1st level as soon as possible and wait until the family's year-end meeting to teach him a lesson. Won't you let me go? Thinking of Yang Zhan's previous shouting that he would not let him go at the family's year-end meeting, Yang Zhaoshan suddenly punched out, releasing his spiritual power, and the big stone in the yard was blasted into countless broken stones. Days passed one by one. The end of the year was approaching. Yang Jiazhuang began to purchase New Year's goods and decorated it in a festive manner. Yang Zhaoshan stood in the yard full of snow and practiced Takai Sutra. With each punch and move, the fist force was soft and hard, bringing up countless snowflakes on the ground. After breaking through the third level, although the breakthrough speed was much slower, after these days of hard practice, Yang Xiaoshan still successfully broke through to the fourth level and reached the peak of the fourth level. And his Teikai Sutra has made more obvious progress, and the fist force can already cover a range of 3 meters. After practicing for a while, Yang Xiaoshan stopped and felt his whole body steaming. Tomorrow is the family annual meeting. Originally, the family annual meeting was not so soon, but at Yang Zong's request, his grandfather Yang Ming moved the family annual meeting forward. The family annual meeting was moved forward. It seems that Yang Zong has broken through to the first level, and he can't wait to teach him a lesson at the family annual meeting. Yang Xiaoshan walked out of the yard. He has been practicing hard these days, and rarely sees his sister. He plans to go see the little girl. You heard that tomorrow at the family annual meeting, a big shot from the Divine Sword Academy will come to our Yang Jiazhuang. A big shot from the Divine Sword Academy. Who is he? Why is he coming to Yang Jiazhuang? In the distance, the guards of Yang Jiazhuang were discussing. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. Divine Sword Academy. Divine Sword Academy is the top of the 4 major academies in their Shenhe kingdom. If a family disciple can enter the Divine Sword Academy to practice, it will be a matter of honor for the family. The big shot of the Divine Sword Academy learned that our young master Yang Zong had awakened the Kingluan martial spirit and came to Yang Jiazhuang to accept him as his disciple. Now the news has spread in Xingyu City, and many masters from Xingyu City have come to congratulate him. The old man Arona has been smiling so much that his mouth has never closed. Several guards were talking. Yang Xiaoshan listened. His face was normal. The next day, the sun was a little cold. After Yang Xiaoshan got up, he learned that his grandfather Yang Ming, his uncle Yang He, and Yang Zong had gone out early to welcome the big shot from the Divine Sword Academy. However, his grandfather did not notify his father to go with him to welcome him. The front hall of Yang Jiazhuang is where the annual family meeting of Yang Jiazhuang is held. When Yang Xiaoshan, his parents, and his sister Yang Linga came to the front hall, it was already crowded with people. There was laughter and joy in the hall, and no one paid attention to the arrival of Yang Xiaoshan's family. Yang Xiaoshan looked over and saw that his grandfather and the masters of Xingyu City were all gathered around a silver-haired old man. This silver-haired old man was obviously a big shot in the Divine Sword Academy. He learned from his father that the other person was Chen Yuan, the vice president of the Divine Sword Academy. The vice president of the Divine Sword Academy was definitely a big shot in the Divine Sea Kingdom. Even the royal family of the Divine Sea Kingdom dared not neglect such a person, let alone the people of Xingyu City. After a while, the annual meeting of Yang Jiazhuang began. Yang Ming said to his grandson Yang Zong beside him with full of love, "Zonja, you go up and show your strength well, so that Master Chen Yuan can see your training these days." Yang Zong responded, jumped up, and landed on the martial arts stage in front of the hall, and then the spiritual power was circulated, and the spiritual power in his body was released. Suddenly, his whole body was shining. First level peak. Feeling Yang Zong's breath, many masters in Xingyu City were surprised. Yang Zong awakened his martial soul, but it was only 20 days, and he had already broken through to the first level peak. Even Chen Yuan was surprised, and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Kingluan is indeed a top level 10th level martial spirit." Kingluan martial spirit is rare in Shenhe country, and that's why he traveled thousands of miles to Yang Jiazhuang. Yang Zhang, this kid, really surprised him. In less than 20 days, he broke through to the peak of the first level. He had only seen such a speed of cultivation in a few people. Hearing Chen Yuan's praise, Yang Ming and Yang He smiled widely. At this time, Yang Zong's eyes fell on Yang Xiaoshan in the crowd and said, "Xiaoshan, I know you have been practicing hard behind closed doors these days. Do you dare to come up and compete with us?" Chapter 5 Chen Yuan accepts disciples. Suddenly, everyone's eyes fell on Yang Xiaoshan. Seeing Yang Zong looking at him provocatively, Yang Xiaoshan jumped up and landed on the martial arts stage. Why not? Chen Yuan looked at Yang Xiaoshan and became interested. He smiled and asked Yang Ming, "Who is this child?" Yang Ming was embarrassed and hesitated for a while. Li Guang, the head of the Li family in Xingyu City, smiled at Chen Yuan and said, Master Chen Yuan, this child is Yang Xiaoshan, and he is also the grandson of Yang Ming. He awakened his martial spirit on the same day as Yang Zhang. At this point, he paused, but this Yang Xiaoshan awakened a level 2 turtle martial spirit. Level 2 turtle martial spirit. Li Guang's voice was very loud, and everyone at the scene sneered. Chen Yuan was stunned, and shook his head. Yang Ming's face flushed, and he felt his face was dull. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan on the martial arts stage, and felt more and more unpleasant. On the ring, Yang Zhang saw that Yang Xiaoshan was provoked by him and came up. He smiled and said, Yang Xiaoshan, summon your martial spirit. I'm a few days older than you. As your elder brother, I will let you make the first move. Yang Xiaoshan was not polite when he heard this, but he did not summon his martial spirit. He came to Yang Zhang and threw a punch. He did not use any internal force or fighting spirit in this punch, but the punch was so fast that Yang Zhang was hit by the punch before he could react. Yang Zhang staggered back and covered his left eye. He grimaced in pain. He pointed at Yang Xiaoshan and said angrily, you. But as soon as he finished speaking, Yang Xiaoshan punched him in the right eye again. Yang Zhang was hit back again, and tears came down in pain. This change surprised everyone at the scene. Seeing Yang Zhang being beaten, Yang Ming's face darkened, and he angrily said, it's too outrageous to hit your own brother so hard. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Yang Zhang roaring, with a ferocious face, punching Yang Xiaoshan's chest with both fists. Xiaoshan, be careful. Yang Chao's face changed and blurted out. Looking at Yang Zhang, who was rushing at him crazily, Yang Xiaoshan just tilted slightly and dodged the opponent's attack. He punched again. This time, Yang Xiaoshan used the fighting spirit of a first level warrior. Bang! Yang Zhang was knocked down. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was surprised. This is fighting spirit, a first level warrior. Li Guang, the head of the Li family, and many masters of Xingyu City looked at Yang Xiaoshan in surprise. Isn't Yang Xiaoshan a second level martial soul? In less than a month, he actually broke through to the first level and became a first level warrior. Even Chen Yuan from the Divine Sword Academy was very surprised. Breaking through to the first level in less than a month, even some disciples of the Divine Sword Academy may not be able to do it, right? At this time, a figure flashed, and a person rushed onto the martial arts stage. It was Yang Ming. Yang Ming looked at Yang Xiaoshan and said angrily, you broke through the first level so quickly. Did you steal the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill from the family? A few days ago, he spent a lot of money to buy a Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. Now seeing Yang Xiaoshan suddenly break through the first level, he subconsciously thought that Yang Xiaoshan secretly swallowed his Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. Otherwise, with Yang Xiaoshan's second level martial spirit, how could he break through the first level so quickly? I didn't. Yang Xiaoshan heard his grandfather's angry questioning. Yang Ming heard it and said angrily, you dare to quibble. At this point, he said to the old housekeeper Yang Lin, go and take a look at the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. The old housekeeper Yang Lin responded respectfully and retreated. At this time, Yang He also stepped forward and said angrily, he must have stolen the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. When Yang Cheo heard this, he couldn't help but said angrily, brother, which eye of yours saw that Xiaoshan stole the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill? While the two were arguing, the old housekeeper Yang Lin returned. He glanced at Yang Xiaoshan, came to Yang Ming, and said, old owner, the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill is still there. Yang Ming was stunned. Chen Yuan from the Divine Sword Academy suddenly took a step and came to Yang Xiaoshan and said, Kit, can you summon your martial spirit and show it to me? Since Yang Xiaoshan didn't swallow the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill, how could he break through the first level so quickly? He felt strange. Yang Xiaoshan hesitated for a while and finally summoned his martial spirit. Suddenly, a huge turtle appeared in front of everyone. Everyone at the scene laughed. Chen Yuan had expected it, but he was disappointed when he saw Yang Xiaoshan's giant turtle martial spirit. Although he didn't know how this child practiced, the martial spirit in front of him was indeed a second level martial spirit. Master Chen Yuan, how is it? Yang Ming asked Chen Yuan nervously. Chen Yuan shook his head and explained to Yang Ming and others, it is the second level top martial soul, the black iron giant turtle, and the little black snake is the second level martial soul, the black water snake. They are parasitic martial souls that coexist with each other. Yang Ming originally thought that a miracle would happen, but upon hearing this, he was completely disappointed with this grandson. Who is Chen Yuan? He is the vice president of the Divine Sword Academy. He is so knowledgeable that even he determined that this is a second level martial soul, so it must be a second level martial soul. Yang He, Yang Zhang and others were secretly happy when they heard that Yang Zhioshan's martial soul was a second level parasitic martial soul. Yang Zhioshan took in the expressions of Yang Ming, Yang He, Yang Zhang and others. A second level parasitic martial soul? For a parasitic martial soul, he knew that only the main martial soul could devour the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and the other martial soul had no effect at all. And his martial souls, both of which could devour the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, just based on this point, it could not be a parasitic martial soul. As for the second level, that's even more impossible. In 20 days, he broke through 4 levels in a row. How could it be a second level martial soul? However, Yang Zhioshan did not open his mouth to explain. Seeing that Yang Zhioshan was a level 2 martial spirit, Chen Yuan stopped paying attention to Yang Zhioshan and turned around to ask Yang Zhang to summon his martial spirit. Suddenly, a giant bird covered in flames appeared in front of everyone. It is indeed the ancient beast King Luan. Chen Yuan looked at the giant bird in front of him and was full of admiration. Then he smiled at Yang Zhang and said, Yang Zhang, are you willing to take me as your master? Yang Ming and Yang He were very surprised when they heard this. Disciple greets master. Yang Zhang also bowed down quickly and said respectfully, okay. Chen Yuan laughed heartily. It was worth it for him to come all the way to Yang Jiazhuang to be able to accept a top level 10 martial spirit disciple. Chapter 6 Mineral Materials Robbed. When everyone in Xingyu City saw Chen Yuan accepting Yang Zhang as his disciple, they gathered around and congratulated Chen Yuan, Yang Ming, and Yang He. Seeing the martial arts arena that was packed with people, Yang Zhioshan and his father left the arena. No one cared about the two leaving. Half a day later, the annual meeting ended. In the room, Yang Zhang touched his still aching eyes, thinking of the scene during the day. The more he thought about it, the more he hated him. Yang Zhioshan, when I come back from the Divine Sword Academy during the summer vacation, I will definitely not let you go. Tomorrow, Chen Yuan will take him to the Divine Sword Academy to practice. With the training of the Divine Sword Academy and Chen Yuan, he will soon be able to break through the second level, third level, and even fourth level. When he returns to Yang Jiazhuang in half a year, he will find Yang Zhioshan to settle accounts. The next day, the snow stopped. With the joyful farewell of everyone in Yang Jiazhuang, Chen Yuan took Yang Zhang and set off and left Yang Jiazhuang. Before leaving, Yang Zhang said to Yang Zhioshan fiercely, when I come back from summer vacation, I will challenge you again. Yang Zhioshan looked at Yang Zhang, who was full of hatred, and said, then I will wait for you. Don't let me defeat you in one move and make you cry. Chen Yuan, who was standing by, shook his head and smiled when he heard it, thinking that it was just Yang Zhioshan's childish talk. With his training and that of the Divine Sword Academy, his disciple Yang Zhang will definitely be able to break through the 4th level in half a year. How could Yang Zhioshan, a giant turtle martial spirit, be his disciple's opponent? After half a year, Yang Zhioshan will definitely not be able to stop his disciple's move. In the end, Yang Zhang and Chen Yuan disappeared from the sight of everyone in the Yang family. Yang Zhioshan's life returned to peace again. As before, he practiced without leaving the house. Sitting cross-legged on the bed in the room, Yang Zhioshan practiced Prajna Gong, and soon, the Zuanwu beast martial spirit appeared again. After these days of practice, the Zuanwu beast martial spirit and the black snake martial spirit have changed. The black snake has a lot of luster and has grown some scales, and a faint texture has appeared on the Zuanwu giant shell. These patterns are extremely mysterious. Under the devouring of the Zuanwu beast and the black snake, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is constantly transformed into the fighting spirit in Yang Zhioshan's body. Bang! A faint crisp sound rang out in his body. He was originally at the peak of the 4th level and finally made another breakthrough and stepped into the 5th level. When he broke through the 5th level, the pattern on the shell of the Zuanwu giant turtle had one more, and the pattern was a little deeper, no longer as faint and invisible as before. As for the black snake, the scales on its body became darker and brighter, and the black snake grew a lot bigger. When it was dawn, Yang Xiaoshan stopped practicing martial arts and practiced Teikai Sutra in the yard. Teikai Sutra is a profound internal force training method that complements fighting spirit and can strengthen the body. In the past few days, he has insisted on practicing every day. A few more days passed. It was getting closer to the end of the year. The snow was getting heavier. This year's snow was heavier than in previous years. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the fluttering snow and frowned. In the past few days, rumors were rife in Yangjiazhuang, saying that the reason he was able to break through the 1st level so quickly was because his father, when he was managing the family's silk business, embezzled money and stole the family's money to buy him elixirs for cultivation. Elixirs are much better than foundation building elixirs, but they are expensive. With these rumors, his grandfather's face became increasingly unfavorable when he saw his family. Although his father and mother explained many times, his grandfather didn't believe it at all. These rumors should be the work of his uncle Yang He. Thinking of his parents' frowns and sighs these days, Yang Xiaoshan clenched his fists. Yang Xiaoshan was thinking to himself when he saw his sister Yang Linga jumping in. Brother, my father and mother asked me to come over and call you. What do you want to call me for? Yang Xiaoshan asked with a smile when he saw the little girl looking happy. The new year is coming in a few days. Father and mother bought us new clothes and asked you to try them on. The little girl smiled and then lowered her voice. I'll tell you a secret. There are many delicious foods, including cakes from Daohua village, nuts from Huago mountain, and lala candy. Whether it is cakes from Daohua village or nuts from Huago mountain, they are all loved by the two siblings. Seeing the little girl drooling, Yang Xiaoshan smiled. The two siblings came to the front hall, talking and laughing. Huang Ying smiled when she saw the two siblings come in. Huang Ying waved to Yang Xiaoshan and said with a smile, Xiaoshan, come here. Mother bought you new clothes. Try them on and see if they fit you. Yang Xiaoshan came to his mother and put on the New Year clothes his mother bought. The new clothes have a cotton jacket inside, which is very warm and comfortable. Huang Ying looked at her son Yang Xiaoshan with mixed feelings. These days, her son has been practicing hard, and she has seen it all. She is both distressed and relieved. As a parent, she certainly hopes that her son will have a great future. However, thinking of her son's martial spirit, she secretly sighed in her heart. In the martial spirit world, there has never been a second level martial spirit that can be cultivated into a congenital strongman. Mother, where is father? Yang Xiaoshan asked. Your father was called over by your grandfather. Huang Ying smiled and said, he said that there is something for your father to do. Something for his father to do? Yang Xiaoshan was puzzled. Ever since he awakened the giant turtle martial spirit, his grandfather had disliked his father and would not let him interfere in anything in Yangjiazhuang. Now he asked his father to do something. This is very abnormal. At this time, Yang Xiaoshan saw his father walking back from outside with a sullen face. Brother Cheo, did your father ask you to come over? Huang Ying also saw that Yang Cheo's face was not right and could not help but greeted him and asked. Some time ago, the mineral materials that my eldest brother was escorting to Xianjian Villa were robbed by the Black Wind Village. Yang Cheo said in a deep voice, my eldest brother and father asked me to go to the Black Wind Village to get them back. What? Huang Ying was immediately angry when she heard it. It was your eldest brother who lost the mineral materials. Father didn't ask you to go and get them back, but asked you to go. The Black Wind Village is full of robbers who kill without blinking an eye. Isn't that asking you to die? Yang Xiaoshan was also furious. Then do you agree? Huang Ying asked Yang Cheo anxiously. Yang Cheo remained silent. Huang Ying knew the answer when she saw her husband's expression. She was so angry that she burst into tears. If something happens to you, what will happen to Xiaoshan, Linga, and me, as an orphan and a widow, in the future? I'm going to find my father. Yang Cheo saw Huang Ying was going to find her father and shouted, stop. Then he said, "Father told me to take 10,000 gold to Black Wine Village to redeem the mineral materials. This batch of mineral materials is of little use in the hands of Black Wine Village. Black Wine Village should agree." And father said that, if I can get this batch of mineral materials back and hand it over to Xianjian Villa as scheduled, he will let my brother and I manage the mine together. Huang Yang's eyes were still red as she said, "But what if Black Wine Village doesn't agree? They know you have 10,000 gold on you. Maybe they will rob and kill you and the people who went with you from Yangji as Huang." Yang Chao hesitated and said, "The leader of Black Wine Village is at the 4th level of innate, the same level as me. He can't do anything to me. Don't worry. If we see the situation is not right, we will fight our way out. Nothing will happen." But is it really so? There is more than one innate strongman in Black Wine Village. Although the leader of the other party is innate at the 4th level, there are 14 innate strongmen in the entire Black Wind Village. And there are 400 or 500 people in Black Wine Village. In terms of overall strength, Yang Jiazhuang is weaker than Black Wine Village. Moreover, Yang Chao can only bring 20 people this time. Once the negotiations fail, it is hard to say whether he can fight his way out of Black Wine Village. Chapter 7 Twin Supreme Martial Spirits. Yang Xiaoshan returned to the room with the New Year clothes his mother bought. Looking at the Daohua village cakes his mother stuffed into his hands, Yang Xiaoshan couldn't eat. Because after the New Year, his father would go to Black Wine Village. 4th level of innate, 14 innate. Yang Xiaoshan said to himself. He had learned about the general situation of Black Wine Village from his parents. He could only help his father by breaking through the innate level. But now it was less than 10 days away from the new year. Even if he practiced faster, even if he had 2 super martial arts spirits, it was impossible to practice to the innate level. Yang Xiaoshan frowned, and in boredom, he came to the back mountain to practice Teikai Sutra. After one move after another, he gradually entered a state of selflessness. Just when Yang Xiaoshan was practicing Teikai Sutra, suddenly, something hit his forehead. Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help but stop, covering his painful forehead, and looked over. He saw that a golden armored beast had appeared in the distance at some point. The golden armored beast is shaped like a pangolin on the earth, but its scales are golden. This kind of spiritual beast is not strong in attack, but has strong defense and agile speed. The golden armored beast held a pine cone in his hand. When he saw that it hit Yang Xiaoshan, he covered his mouth and laughed, which made Yang Xiaoshan angry. White Crane spreads wings. Yang Xiaoshan rushed up and used a Teikai move. But the little guy flexibly dodged Yang Xiaoshan's attack and stood more than 10 meters away and shook his butt at Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan was so angry that he chased him again. Although his fighting spirit and internal strength were not weak, he was still dodged by the other party. In this way, a man and a beast chased each other back and forth and unknowingly entered the deep mountains. Finally, the golden armored beast came to an inconspicuous mountain, passed through the weeds, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yang Xiaoshan hesitated for a moment, and also passed through the weeds. After passing through, Yang Xiaoshan found that there was a small cave behind it. This small cave is very hidden, and cannot be seen from the outside. Looking at the dark cave in front of him, he hesitated for a moment, and then walked in. The small cave was deeper than he had imagined. After walking for a while, he still couldn't see the end. The light in the cave was very dim, and Yang Xiaoshan could only vaguely see a few meters. After walking about 100 or 200 meters, Yang Xiaoshan was about to return, but he saw the golden armor beast came out from nowhere and waved to Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan hesitated for a moment and followed it. After walking for a while, the cave branched into many small paths. The golden armor beast led Yang Xiaoshan forward in the maze-like cave. After passing more than 10 forks, light appeared in front of him. Seeing this, Yang Xiaoshan hurried forward. When he came to the light, Yang Xiaoshan was stunned by the scene in front of him. He was standing halfway up the mountain, and in front of him was a small valley with birds singing and flowers blooming, like a paradise. At this time, the golden armor beast was waving to Yang Xiaoshan from the bottom of the small valley. Yang Xiaoshan gritted his teeth, raised his internal strength, and jumped down to the bottom of the small valley. He jumped onto the branch of a big tree, and with the help of elasticity, he landed on another branch again. In this way, after several times, Yang Zai Ocean finally landed on the bottom of the valley. The valley was very wide, probably several thousand square meters, with various fruit trees, and full of various flowers, herbs, and fragrance. Yang Zai Ocean was surprised. At this time, the golden armor beast jumped onto a fruit tree, picked a fruit, and took a bite, then picked another one, and threw it to Yang Zai Ocean. Yang Zai Ocean took it, looked at the green and juicy fruit in his hand, took a bite, and felt sweet all over his teeth. After the juice entered his stomach, a warm current surged, and his whole body was extremely comfortable. Yang Zai Ocean ate one, and quickly sat cross-legged on the ground, practicing prajna. After several hours, he finally refined the spiritual power of the spiritual fruit, and found that his internal strength and fighting spirit had improved a lot, which was equivalent to his several days of hard practice. This made Yang Zai Ocean overjoyed. With these fruits, maybe he can break through to the Xianshan realm before the new year. Although the hope is still not great, at least there is a glimmer of hope. Just when Yang Zai Ocean was about to continue swallowing the fruits to practice, he saw the golden armor beast pointing to the front. Yang Zai Ocean looked and saw a cave entrance on the cliff in front. This cave entrance was different from the previous one. It should be that someone had lived in it. After thinking about it, Yang Zai Ocean jumped to the cave entrance and walked in. The golden armor beast stood outside the cave entrance with a fearful look on his face. There seemed to be something terrifying in the cave. Yang Zai Ocean was surprised to see the golden armor beast. He looked inside the cave and walked in carefully. After passing through a small path of several meters, he came to a hall of dozens of square meters. There were 4 rooms next to the hall. The walls of the hall were inlaid with 4 fist-sized night pearls, making the whole hall as bright as day. Yang Zai Ocean was stunned. He didn't expect that there would be another world in this small cave. After confirming that there was no danger, he came to the first room. In the first room, there was a cold jade bed, and there was nothing else. When Yang Zai Ocean came to the second room, he saw a stone table in the room. There were 2 books on the table and an ancient sword next to the table. Yang Zai Ocean opened one of the books and saw the words "The Beginning Dragon Art" written on it. The more he read, the more excited he became. According to the book, the Beginning Dragon Art is the most advanced technique of the ancient dragon clan. After practicing, not only can one have a strong body like the ancient dragon clan, but also the power of a real dragon. Although Yang Zai Ocean did not know what level of technique this beginning dragon art was, the dragon clan was the most advanced divine beast clan in the world. Since the beginning dragon art was the most advanced technique of the ancient dragon clan, it must be extremely powerful. After reading it, Yang Zai Ocean was unable to calm down. The book said that the beginning dragon art was too overbearing. To practice the beginning dragon art, one must have a divine beast martial spirit of the same level as the ancient dragon clan. He had the Zuanwu divine beast martial spirit, so he could practice the beginning dragon art. After calming down, Yang Zai Ocean opened the second book. The second book was a sword art called Tangshan Sword Art. This book of Tangshan swordsmanship is the unique skill of Tangshan Divine Sect, a superpower in the world of martial spirits. The sword is Tangshan Divine Sword, one of the 10 great swords in the world of martial spirits. After reading it, Yang Zai Ocean's heart speeded up. There is a piece of paper full of handwriting in the book, which was left by Han Feng, the previous leader of Tangshan Divine Sect. This cave was where he lived in seclusion and practiced. According to him, there is a formation restriction arranged by him at the entrance of the cave. Only those with supreme martial spirits can come in and inherit the Tangshan swordsmanship and the dragon art he left behind and become his successor. Supreme martial spirit? Yang Zai Ocean thought secretly. Martial spirits from level 11 to level 13 are super martial spirits, and martial spirits that reach level 14 are called supreme martial spirits. Now, he can enter the cave. So, his martial spirit is at least level 14. It may even be twin level 14 martial spirits. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8, Unrivaled. Knowing that he might be a twin supreme martial soul, Yang Xiaoshan could not suppress his excitement. If he really is a twin supreme martial soul, then wouldn't he be able to become a god, or even surpass a god? Those who obtain my Tangshan sword technique will be the successors of my Hanfeng. I hope you will work hard to practice it. Practice the Tangshan sword technique completely, and take charge of my Tangshan divine sect. I, Hanfeng, used to hold the Tangshan divine sword, and swept across the martial soul world without a single rival. I hope you will live up to my reputation, Hanfeng said in the message. After reading it, Yang Xiaoshan was deeply shocked. Sweeping across the martial soul world without a single rival. How powerful must Hanfeng be? The power of the Tangshan divine sword seemed to be far beyond his imagination. According to the method Hanfeng said, he cut his finger, dripped a drop of blood onto the Tangshan divine sword, and then silently recited the formula. Suddenly, he felt that he was connected to the Tangshan divine sword by blood. When he pulled out the Tangshan divine sword, a terrifying sword energy rushed into the sky, and in an instant, the sky and the earth changed color. A huge hole was blasted out of the 9 heavens. Xingqiu City and even the entire Shenhe kingdom felt this terrifying sword energy. Yang Xiaoshan was shocked. Fortunately, after a blink of an eye, the sword energy of the Tangshan sword disappeared immediately, like an illusion. Yang Xiaoshan breathed a sigh of relief. He silently recited the sword formula, and the Tangshan sword suddenly turned into a sword light, and merged into his right forearm. He saw a new sword pattern on his right forearm. In the future, as he practiced the Tangshan sword method, the Tangshan sword would be completely integrated into his body. At that time, even if he did not summon the Tangshan sword, he could still exert tens of millions of sword energy. After that, he put away the beginning dragon formula, and came to the third room. The third room was full of various martial arts secrets. These were all collected by Hanfeng when he traveled around the world. However, Yang Xiaoshan had the beginning dragon formula. Although these martial arts were good, they were of little use to him. What Yang Xiaoshan did not expect was that there was a medicine cauldron in the fourth room. On the medicine cauldron, there was a line of words left by Hanfeng. He went forward to take a look. It turned out that this medicine cauldron was obtained by Hanfeng from a dangerous place in the Wuhan world. Even he did not know the name of this cauldron. He only knew that this cauldron was extraordinary and could be large or small. There were multiple spaces inside the cauldron, which could be used to carry medicinal materials and other things. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. This nameless medicine cauldron was simply a super travel bag. With it, it would be much more convenient for him to go out in the future. According to the method Hanfeng said, he dripped blood to refine the medicine cauldron. Under his mind, the medicine cauldron kept getting smaller and finally became a ring. He wore it on the ring finger of his left hand. If you don't know, you would just think it was an ordinary ring. Then, Yang Xiaoshan looked at the 4 walls. The 4 walls were all bookcases filled with various secret books. He went forward and flipped through them. They were all medicine refining secret books. Alchemist is an extremely noble profession in the Wuhan world. It is much more noble than a warrior. However, to become an alchemist, the conditions are extremely strict. Not only must you be familiar with various medicinal materials, but you must also be able to control the fire of heaven and earth, and have a strong soul perception. Each condition is indispensable. Because of this, alchemists in the spirit world are extremely rare. For example, Yang Jiazhuang has not been able to train an alchemist for so many years. In the entire Xingqiu City, only the Xingqiu City Lord's Mansion has an alchemist, and it is only a 1-star one. Even so, he is treated as a guest of honor by the Xingqiu City Lord's Mansion. I wonder if there is a prescription for refining the foundation building spirit liquid here. Yang Xiaoshan thought to himself. After searching for a while, he really found the method of refining the foundation building spirit liquid under a bookcase. Looking at the detailed introduction of refining the foundation building spirit liquid, Yang Xiaoshan's heart beat fast. If he can refine the foundation building spirit liquid and practice with the fruits outside, then his cultivation will definitely improve faster, and he will have an 80% to 90% chance of breaking the innate before the new year. He read it carefully, and then found the 14 kinds of medicinal materials needed to refine the foundation building spirit liquid in the Valley Medicine Garden, and put them into the medicine cauldron one by one. Then, according to the method described in the book, Yang Xiaoshan began to sense the fire of heaven and earth around him. This step is the most difficult, because everyone's soul is different, and most people cannot sense the fire of heaven and earth. However, soon, Yang Xiaoshan sensed the floating fire of heaven and earth around him. These fires of heaven and earth were all over the surroundings, like a sea of fire, endless. Yang Xiaoshan, who was originally nervous and uneasy, was stunned. Is this the fire of heaven and earth? Exclamation mark. But didn't the book say that many alchemists could only sense the fire of heaven and earth within a few meters around them for the first time? Now, the range he sensed was more than 100 meters. He couldn't believe it and tried to use his soul power to pull it. Suddenly, these fires of heaven and earth gathered into the medicine cauldron like a stream. When refining medicine, the firepower cannot be too strong, otherwise, the medicinal materials will be burned to ashes in an instant, and it cannot be too small, otherwise the medicinal materials cannot be fully melted. As Yang Xiaoshan nervously controlled the fire of heaven and earth, the 14 kinds of medicinal materials began to melt one by one during the calcination, and finally became a small ball of agile blue liquid. Looking at the blue liquid in the medicine cauldron, Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. Foundation building spiritual liquid. Was it refined like this? It seems that it is not that difficult. The 1-star alchemist in the pharmacist hall only needs to successfully refine a portion of foundation building spiritual liquid within 3 hours. Just now, he took less than an hour. Doesn't that mean that he is already a qualified alchemist? Yang Xiaoshan still didn't believe that the medicine in the medicine cauldron was the foundation building spiritual liquid. He hesitated for a moment and swallowed it. Suddenly, a warm current surged in his body. He tried to practice the dragon art. The black tortoise and black snake martial spirits emerged, and above the sky, endless spiritual energy from the heaven and earth rolled down, and its speed was many times faster than when he practiced prajna before. The spiritual power of the foundation building spiritual liquid was constantly transformed into the fighting spirit in his meridians. Soon, the foundation building spiritual liquid was refined. When Yang Xiaoshan stopped, he found that he had broken through to the peak of the 5th stage. He was surprised and happy. What he refined must be the foundation building spiritual liquid, and it was definitely not an ordinary foundation building spiritual liquid, otherwise, it would not have such a medicinal effect. The same kind of elixir, with different qualities, naturally has different medicinal effects. From low to high, there are inferior, low grade, medium grade, superior, and excellent. Above the excellent, there is the ultimate. The foundation building spirit liquid he just refined should be of superior quality or even excellent quality. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the medicinal materials in the valley and was excited. With these medicinal materials, he could continuously refine the foundation building spirit liquid. Before the new year, there was hope for a breakthrough. When Yang Xiaoshan came out of the cave, he found that it was completely dark. He was so scared that he hurried back to Yang Jiazhuang. Sure enough, when he returned to Yang Jiazhuang, his parents sent people to look for him for a long time. In the end, Yang Xiaoshan's butt was whipped with a stick. However, late at night, when everyone in Yang Jiazhuang went to bed, he sneaked back to the valley and continued to refine the foundation building spirit liquid for practice. In this way, Yang Xiaoshan returned to Yang Jiazhuang during the day to practice Tangshan swordsmanship, and at night, he practiced in the valley. Occasionally, he would go into the mountains with the golden armored beast to hunt beasts and improve his fighting experience. For 4 consecutive days, Yang Xiaoshan made rapid progress and broke through to the peak of the late 10th level, only 1 step away from the innate realm. In the courtyard of Yang Jiazhuang, sword flowers moved. Yang Xiaoshan thrust out a sword, and a sword hole suddenly appeared in the tree stump 10 meters ahead. Seeing the sword hole several inches deep, he nodded with satisfaction. Tangshan sword technique is worthy of being one of the top 10 sword techniques in the world. Although he is only at the 10th level of the acquired realm, the power of this sword just now is probably something that many masters of the first level of the innate realm cannot resist. And this is only the weakest first move of Tangshan sword technique. Tangshan sword technique has a total of 49 moves. The more you practice it, the stronger the power. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan thought of the innate realm, but he had a headache. After breaking through to the 10th level, the effect of the foundation building spirit liquid was greatly reduced. At the current speed, even if he insisted on swallowing the foundation building spirit liquid to practice, it would take at least 6 or 7 days to break through the innate realm. But the day after tomorrow is New Year's Day, and his father is about to set off for Black Wine Village. He can't wait that long. What to do? Chapter 9. I found it first. If he wants to break through the Zyanshan in such a short time before the new year, he must have the Zyanshan elixir. However, he cannot refine the Zyanshan elixir now, because only the Zyanshan strong can refine the Zyanshan elixir. Where can he get the Zyanshan elixir? In addition, one Zyanshan elixir costs at least 10,000 gold. He doesn't have that much money to buy it. Besides, the Zyanshan elixir is rare, and Xingayu City and the surrounding cities don't sell it at all. Headache. However, when Yang Xiaoshan was about to slip out of Yangjiazhuang, he found that the guards patrolling Yangjiazhuang were twice as many as usual, and he couldn't help feeling strange. After listening to the guards' conversation, Yang Xiaoshan knew that a wanted criminal had fled to Xingayu City. This person was named Hulai, who was cruel and ruthless. He slaughtered dozens of people in a family, and when he fled, he killed several patrolmen and a pharmacist. The other party was not weak, and was a Zyanshan second level master. No wonder Yang Jiazhuan was so prepared. However, Yang Xiaoshan didn't care about it. If he really met Ulai, he would like to test his current strength with him. After leaving Yang Jiazhuan, Yang Xiaoshan followed his usual route to the valley. However, not long after entering the dense forest, Yang Xiaoshan suddenly saw a man leaning against a big tree in the distance. He was immediately shocked. After a closer look, he saw that the man had a full beard, his robe was a little torn, and there were many bloodstains on it. At this moment, Hulai was also shocked, and stood up to look at Yang Xiaoshan. Suddenly, a brutal aura rushed over him. However, when he saw that Yang Xiaoshan was a child of 7 or 8 years old, he was stunned, but then, his eyes were full of murderous intent, and he walked towards Yang Xiaoshan with a big knife. Little thing, you can only blame your bad luck for meeting me. Don't worry, it's just one knife, it's quick, it won't hurt. Hulai's knife was indeed very fast. In a breath, the knife had already cut to the front of Yang Xiaoshan's neck. Just when Hulai thought he had cut off the child's head with a knife, suddenly, a figure flashed in front of him, and his knife missed. Then, a strong punch came from his ribs. Hulai was too late to dodge, and was hit in the ribs by a punch. Bang! The sound of bone fracture rang out. He retreated several meters. Hulai stabilized his body, feeling the pain in his ribs, and looked at the 7 or 8-year-old child in front of him in disbelief. 10th order late peak. This child is actually a postnatal peak master. He has traveled all over the country, visited more than a dozen kingdoms, and met many geniuses, but this is the first time he has seen a 7 or 8-year-old late peak master. This seems to be the Star Moon City of the Divine Sea Kingdom. How could the Divine Sea Kingdom produce such a monstrous genius? I wonder which family you are from? Hulai thought quickly, and pretended to smile kindly. I have no ill intentions. I came here to visit relatives and friends, but I was robbed by robbers on the way. I just mistakenly thought that you were the robbers who were chasing me. As Hulai spoke, he approached Yang Xiaoshan unnoticed. Yang Xiaoshan knew what the other party was thinking, so when Hulai burst out and slashed at him again, the Tangshan sword in Yang Xiaoshan's hand appeared and stabbed out instantly. A little sword light cut through the darkness. Under the moonlight, the sword light was extremely bright. Hulai felt a pain in his left eye, and couldn't help covering his eyes and screaming. Yang Xiaoshan's sword just now had blinded his left eye. Sword key, how can you, a postnatal, have sword key? Hulai looked at Yang Xiaoshan in pain, shocked and angry. Only the innate master can display sword key, but Yang Xiaoshan is obviously only a postnatal peak. Who told you that postnatal can't display sword key? Yang Xiaoshan, who was originally nervous, was relieved a lot when he saw the success of the sword. Little thing, even if you know sword key, so what? Hulai roared angrily, you will die today. After that, a giant tiger martial spirit appeared behind him. Then, tiger-like patterns appeared all over his body, and claws like tiger claws grew on his hands. This is soul transformation. After awakening the martial soul, different martial souls will have different abilities. After Hulai's soul transformation, he will have the speed and strength of a tiger. Hulai rushed towards Yang's eye ocean again. Under the moonlight, his claws flashed with a cold light. Hulai's speed was half faster than before. Soul transformation. Yang's eye ocean looked at the other party rushing towards him, but his face was calm. His whole body was surging with light, and the surface of his body was like the shell of a giant black tortoise. At the same time, dark light continued to surge from his body, and he was completely integrated into the darkness. Hulai can soul transform, so can he. Moreover, he has 2 martial souls, and can double soul transform. Yang's eye ocean stabbed out with a sword again. This time, he performed the first move of Tangshan sword technique. A sword light was so fast that Hulai could not catch it at all. After the soul transformation, Yang's eye ocean was as fast as a ghost, and completely integrated into the darkness, making it difficult for the naked eye to see. Hulai, who had just attacked Yang's eye ocean, felt a pain in his throat and froze there. His eyes were full of horror and his face was full of disbelief, as if he had seen something incredible. Dual soul transformation. You have twin martial souls? Hulai opened his mouth with difficulty and fell down. The blood from his throat continued to stain the ground red. Yang's eye ocean looked at Hulai, who was completely lifeless, and was completely relieved. At the same time, he was surprised that the power of the dual soul transformation, combined with the Tangshan sword technique, was beyond his imagination. Seeing Hulai's bag dropped in the distance, Yang's eye ocean's heart moved, and he went forward to open it, and took a look, and turned out a martial arts secret book soul breaking sword technique. In addition to this martial soul, there was some gold, a book of alchemy experience, and a jade bottle. When Yang's eye ocean opened the jade bottle, the fragrance of the elixir suddenly filled his nose, which made people feel refreshed. This is. Yang's eye ocean poured it into his palm, and saw 2 crystal clear pills that exuded bursts of elixir fragrance falling into his palm. In the past few days, Yang's eye ocean had been reading books on alchemy in the caves in the valleys. He had a certain understanding of elixirs. When he saw these 2 elixirs, he was overjoyed. 4 elephant elixir. The 4 elephant elixir, like the dragon tiger elixir, that his grandfather had spent a lot of money to buy before, was an innate elixir, but the 4 elephant elixir was more difficult to refine, and the medicinal materials used to refine the 4 elephant elixir were more precious, and the power of the elixir was better. Yang's eye ocean remembered that the gods of Yangji Azhuang said that Hulai had killed an alchemist. It seemed that this book on alchemy experience and these 2 4 elephant elixir were obtained by Hulai from that alchemist. Hulai was being hunted all the way, and he probably didn't have time to swallow it. Now it was a bargain for him. Yang's eye ocean took away all the things in the bag, even the gold. With this gold, he could buy a lot of things in the future. Only a fool would not want it. Not long after Yang's eye ocean left, Yang Chao, who was patrolling nearby with the guards of Yangji Azhuang, came over. When he saw Hulai's body, Yang Chao and his companions were all surprised. They had all seen the portrait of Hulai, and recognized that the man being killed was a serious criminal. Hulai. What a strong swordsmanship. Who killed him with 1 sword? I wonder who killed Hulai? A guard of Yangji Azhuang asked in surprise. To be able to kill Hulai, the other party must be at least a 3rd level innate master. Yang Chao speculated, and the other party is definitely a master of swordsmanship. At this time, Yang He also came over with his guards. Seeing Hulai being shot dead, he was surprised, but secretly happy. You know, the court offered a reward of 3,000 gold for Hulai's head. Thinking of this, he quickly drew his sword, and cut off Hulai's head. Just as Yang He was about to take the head away, Sun Hua, a guard of Yangji Azhuang who followed Yang Chao, said boldly, Master, Hulai was first discovered by the 2nd master. It's not appropriate for you to take the head away like this, right? Logically, even if there was a reward, it should be Yang Chao who should receive it. When Yang He heard this, he suddenly slapped Sun Hua in the face and shouted, You are blind. Who said he discovered it first? It was obviously me who discovered it first. Chapter 10 You are the same as your son. Sun Hua was slapped back a few steps, with 5 fingers clearly imprinted on his face. Yang Chao's face darkened. Sun Hua was his loyal subordinate. Yang He not only snatched Hu Lai's head to collect the reward, but also took the opportunity to deliberately hurt his subordinate. "Brother, you passed," Yang Cheo said angrily. "Passed?" Yang He glanced at Yang Cheo and said, "Why, you want to take action for your subordinate?" "Yang Cheo, don't blame me for not reminding you. Fists and feet have no eyes." Yang Cheo heard it and said angrily, "Okay, then I will learn from you, brother." Having said this, he took a stance. Seeing this, Yang He snorted coldly, put down Hu Lai's head, and without saying a word, he slid forward, approached, and suddenly punched Yang Cheo in the chest. This punch was a Yang Jiazhuang Tiger Killing Fist, and it was also the strongest move of the Tiger Killing Fist. Seeing this, Yang Cheo's innate energy circulated and punched up. Bang! The two fists collided. Yang Cheo was shocked, and took several steps back. Although both of them were at the 4th level of Xianshan, Yang Cheo had just entered the 4th level, while Yang He had already entered the late 4th level. If we only talk about Zenyuan, Yang He is definitely better than Yang Cheo. Yang He sneered, rushed forward again, and attacked Yang Cheo with both fists, not giving Yang Cheo a chance to breathe. Under Yang He's continuous strong attack, after more than 10 moves, Yang Cheo was forced to be at a loss. At this time, Yang Ming came from a distance with a large number of guards and shouted, "Stop, father." Yang He hurried forward and said to Yang Ming, "I was the first to discover Hu Lai. My second brother wanted to snatch Hu Lai's head and attacked me. I could only fight back." Yang Ming glanced at Hu Lai's head in the distance and nodded. Yang Cheo stepped forward to explain, "Father, I was the first to find Hu Lai's body. It was my eldest brother." "Shut up," Yang Ming scolded, before he finished listening. "You still dare to quibble? For the sake of Hu Lai's head, you attacked your brother. You are the same as your son." Obviously, Yang Xiaoshan injured his precious grandson Yang Zhang during the family annual competition, and Yang Ming still remembered it. "Go back and reflect on what you did wrong." Yang Ming snorted at Yang Cheo, and then he and Yang He left with their guards. Yang Cheo stood there, watching his father Yang Ming leave, his face unsightly. "Second master, are you okay?" Sun Hua and several Yang Jiazhuang guards stepped forward and asked with concern. Yang Cheo looked at the few people, and his heart was warmed. He shook his head and said, "I'm fine." Sun Hua said angrily, "It was obviously the big Manarona who robbed the second Manarona of the reward. The old Manarona not only didn't listen to your explanation, but also scolded you. The old Manarona is too partial to the big Manarona." Yang Cheo raised his head and sighed, and said nothing. Because his martial spirit was not as good as his elder brother, his father had favored his elder brother since he was a child. Now because Yang Zhang awakened a top level martial spirit of level 10, he favored his elder brother and Yang Zhang even more. "Let's go back to..." Yang Cheo's voice was a little low. At this time, Yang Xiaoshan came to the cave in the valley, sat cross-legged on the cold jade bed, and swallowed a 4-elephant spirit pill. Suddenly, the power of the 4-elephant spirit pill turned into a rolling heat wave. Yang Xiaoshan quickly turned the dragon art. The power of the 4-elephant spirit pill was constantly transformed into the fighting spirit in Yang Xiaoshan's body. As the fighting spirit in his body became stronger and stronger, suddenly, there was a loud bang in Yang Xiaoshan's body, and the innate barrier was finally blasted open. At this moment, all the fighting spirit in the meridians gathered in the Danshan and condensed into a large cyclone in the rotation. A few hours later, Yang Xiaoshan stopped. Looking inward at the large cyclone in the Danshan, he was delighted. After breaking through from the acquired to the innate, the Danshan will condense a cyclone. This means that he has successfully entered the innate realm. Once you step into the innate, your status in the martial arts world is completely different. There is a world of difference between the innate and the acquired. Like Yang Jiazhuang, the acquired masters can only be guards, while the innate masters are guests of honor. There are only 7 innate masters in the entire Yang Jiazhuang. It's just that the cyclone in his Danshan is a bit big. Generally, the cyclone of the innate master is only the size of a fist, but his is several meters in size. But the bigger the cyclone, the thicker the true ki. This is a good thing. Yang Xiaoshan came out of the cave and came to an open area in the valley. He held the Tangshan sword and performed the first move of Tangshan sword technique again. One sword, yin and yang. Suddenly, a sword energy shot out from the end of the sword, and then the sword energy suddenly split into two and instantly sank into the distant mountain wall. Two amazing sword holes appeared on the mountain wall more than 10 meters away. Previously, when Yang Xiaoshan performed this move in the day after tomorrow, although the power was amazing, there was only one sword energy, and it was impossible to split into two sword energy, so it was impossible to exert the power of this move. Now that he has entered the innate realm, the power of this move can finally be truly exerted. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan took out the Tangshan secret book and looked at the second move. He entered the innate realm and could practice the second move. Soon, Yang Xiaoshan memorized the second move in his mind, but he was not in a hurry to practice it. Instead, he practiced it in his mind first, before he drew his sword. After practicing the sword technique for a while, seeing that it was almost dawn, Yang Xiaoshan hurried back to Yang Jiazhuan. After returning to Yang Jiazhuan, he did not sleep either. He took out Ulai's book of soul-breaking sword technique and read it. According to the book, this soul-breaking sword technique is the innate martial arts of the soul-breaking sect of the neighboring Xiandao Empire. Soon, Yang Xiaoshan finished reading the soul-breaking sword technique, and then used a branch instead of a sword, to practice in the yard. The soul-breaking sword technique has a total of 64 moves. Yang Xiaoshan started from the first move, and practiced until the last move. Innate martial arts, it doesn't seem that difficult to practice. Yang Xiaoshan thought to himself. His father said that it often takes several months of hard practice to learn a congenital martial art, but he learned it all just by reading it once. At this time, his sister Yang Linga walked in with a sullen face. Yang Xiaoshan felt strange and asked, "Little sister, what's wrong?" Yang Zong was not there, so there shouldn't be any children bullying her in Yang Jiazhuan. It was my uncle. He stole my father's reward. Yang Linga said angrily, and then told her about Yang He stealing Hulai's head and taking the reward. Of course, she also heard these from the guards of Yang Jiazhuan. Yang Linga said angrily, "Father said that, if he had the 3,000 gold, he could buy 3 sets of foundation building spirit liquid for you, and then you would be able to break through to the second stage." Yang Xiaoshan smiled when he heard this. It turned out that this was what the little girl was really angry about. He felt warm in his heart, touched the little girl's cute face, and smiled. "It's okay, even without the 3 sets of foundation building spirit liquid, you can break through to the second stage quickly." Chapter 11 The First Master of Yang Jiazhuan. Yang Linga obviously didn't believe it after hearing this. Big brother is bragging again. Father and mother said that it will take 2 or 3 years for big brother to break through to the second level. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, "When Yang Chan comes back next time, I will defeat him." Yang Linga said in a baby voice, "Then I will give you all my cakes from Daohua village." Daohua village cakes are her favorite. "If you lose, you have to give me all your Daohua village cakes." The little girl quickly added, looking greedy. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, "Okay, it's a deal." The little girl raised her hand and high-fived him. Yang Xiaoshan smiled. If the little girl lost all the cakes to him, she would probably cry red nose. "Big brother, tomorrow is New Year's Day. I bought a lot of firecrackers. Let's go out and set off firecrackers together, okay?" Yang Linga pestered Yang Xiaoshan. "Okay." Yang Xiaoshan smiled. He was in a good mood. After breaking through the Xianshan in the morning, the two siblings set off a lot of fireworks. In the evening, the family gathered together for a reunion dinner. The table was full of sumptuous dishes, all of which were the favorites of the two siblings. The little girl ate until her mouth was full of oil. Huang Ying saw Yang Linga eating and smiled. "Eat slowly. If you keep eating like this, you will become a fat girl in the future." Yang Linga laughed and said, "Big brother eats more than me. He will definitely be fat in the future." Yang Xiaoshan's forehead was black. Was he shot while sitting? Your big brother practices every day, so it's normal for him to eat a lot. Father Yang Cheo also smiled, and then said to Yang Xiaoshan, "Xiaoshan, in the martial arts, haste makes waste. Father knows why you practice hard, but you can't rush anything, especially practice." Yang Xiaoshan nodded. "Father, I know." Yang Cheo looked at his son and felt relieved. As for why his son broke through the first level so quickly, he didn't ask. If his son wanted to say it in the future, he would tell him. After the reunion dinner, it was New Year's Eve, and Yang Linga pestered Yang Xiaoshan to set off fireworks again. The brilliant fireworks illuminated the night. Yang Chao looked at the fireworks blooming in the night sky, but he thought of the trip to Black Wine Village the day after tomorrow, and felt worried. Late at night, everyone went to bed. Yang Xiaoshan came to the cave in the valley, and continued to swallow the remaining 4-symbol spirit pill. Although he has now broken through the innate realm, he is still unsure about facing the 14 innates in Black Wine Village, so before that, he must try his best to improve his strength. As he refined the last 4-symbol spirit pill, the cyclone in his danshan began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. One night passed. When the sun rose, when Yang Xiaoshan stopped practicing, he saw that the original cyclone finally grew to 10 meters and condensed a second cyclone. Yang Xiaoshan was happy. Condensing 2 cyclones meant that he had entered the second level of the innate realm. The effect of the 4-symbol spirit pill was better than he imagined. Arriving at the open space in the valley, Yang Xiaoshan held the Tangshan sword, pointed the sword at the sky, and struck out. The sword energy fell from the sky. Boom. 6 amazing sword holes appeared on the ground. This is the second move of Tangshan sword technique, sword falling from the sky. Yesterday, he could only make 4 sword holes, but now he has reached 6. Although there are only 2 more sword holes, the power is incomparable. After practicing sword techniques for a while, Yang Xiaoshan rushed back to Yang Jiazhuang and found that the little girl had gotten up early. "Brother, are you playing with monkeys in the back mountain again? I was just about to find you," Yang Linga said. Hearing Yang Linga talking about playing with monkeys, Yang Xiaoshan was speechless and corrected, "That's the Teikai Sutra." Yang Linga didn't dwell on this issue. She took Yang Xiaoshan's hand and went to find Yang Chao and Huang Ying, saying, "Father and mother said that they will take us to the city to go shopping and buy delicious food later." Every New Year's Day, Yang Chao and Huang Ying would take the 2 little kids to the city to watch the fun, and of course, buy a lot of delicious food. When they arrived at the front hall, Yang Chao and Huang Ying were already waiting. Seeing the 2 of them, Yang Chao and Huang Ying took out 2 big red envelopes, one for Yang Xiaoshan and one for Yang Linga, and said a lot of blessings. Yang Linga took the 2 big red envelopes and said sweetly, "Thank you, father and mother. I also made 2 sachets for father and mother." Yang Xiaoshan said this and took out 2 sachets. These 2 sachets were prepared by Yang Xiaoshan using the spiritual medicine in the valley. Wearing them all year round is of great benefit to cultivation. Of course, the effect cannot be seen in a short time, but the effect can be seen after a year. Yang Chao and Huang Ying took the sachets and smiled at each other. "My Xiaoshan has grown up and knows how to give things to his father and mother," Huang Ying said with a smile. The 2 thought it was just an ordinary sachet and took it. "Brother, I want one too." Seeing this, Yang Linga pestered Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, "You can't miss it." Then he took out one and gave it to the little girl. "Don't lose it." "Got it." Yang Linga said with a grin. Afterwards, the family went shopping in Xingyu City. The happiest one was the little girl Yang Linga. The family played until the evening before returning to Yang Jiazhuang. Yang Xiaoshan took the time to continue practicing. He sat cross-legged on the cold jade bed in the cave, practicing the dragon technique, and his whole body was full of true energy. In a trance, Yang Xiaoshan felt as if he had turned into 999,990,000 tiny particles, and in each particle, there was an ancient real dragon. Suddenly, one of the particles in his body burst open. An astonishing dragon power swept across the world. The golden armored beasts playing in the valley and the spirit beasts around the valley felt this dragon power, and they were all terrified and crawled on the ground. The airflow around Yang Xiaoshan gradually turned into a dragon. After several days of hard practice, Yang Xiaoshan finally awakened the power of the real dragon. Once the power of the real dragon awakens, he will be a walking human-shaped real dragon. Now, with his strength and innate true ki fully erupting, he is comparable to a real dragon. Moreover, Yang Xiaoshan discovered that he could hear everything clearly from 100 meters away, even the sound of a group of ants walking on the ground. Not only that, in the dark night, he could see the insects on the leaves 100 meters away, and even the patterns on the wings of the insects. After awakening the power of the real dragon, his whole body was undergoing amazing transformation. Not only did his defense and strength increase greatly, but his hearing and eyesight were also greatly improved. He circulated his innate true ki and punched out. Suddenly, the fist power turned into a real dragon. Bang! A big tree 20 meters away was blasted through. This is blasting through, not blasting through. Blasting through is more difficult than blasting through. Looking at the amazing fist hole on the big tree, Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. Now, he has only awakened the power of one dragon, and his power is so strong. What if he cultivates the beginning dragon art to the extreme? If he cultivates the beginning dragon art to the extreme, he can awaken the power of 999,990,000 real dragons. How terrifying would that be? However, now, he should be the #1 master in Yang Jiazhuang. After awakening the power of the real dragon, coupled with the Tangshan sword technique, he is enough to sweep anyone in Yang Jiazhuang. Even the grandfather of the 5th level of innateness can't be his opponent. Chapter 12 Bloodbath in Black Wine Village. When Yang Xiaoshan returned to Yang Jiazhuang, he found his parents sitting in the front hall, but the atmosphere was a little strange. "Mother, what's wrong?" Yang Xiaoshan asked Tuang Ying. "Your father will go to Black Wine Village soon. This trip is dangerous. Just now your father asked your grandfather to borrow the Tiger King spirit armor, but your grandfather refused." Huang Ying was very excited when she said this. "Is your father's life more important, or the Tiger King spirit armor? In your grandfather's eyes, your father's safety is not as important as a piece of Tiger King spirit armor?" Yang Xiaoshan's heart sank. The Tiger King spirit armor is a spiritual weapon level armor passed down from the ancestors of Yang Jiazhuang. If your father wears it, the chances of saving his life on the trip to Black Wine Village will indeed be much greater. "But, I didn't expect that my grandfather would refuse to lend it." "Okay." Yang Chao waved his hand and interrupted Huang Ying. "The Tiger King spirit armor is an heirloom of Yang Jiazhuang. Only the owner of the manor can wear it. It's normal that my father refuses to lend it. Moreover, if the Tiger King spirit armor is lost because of me, I will be the sinner of Yang Jiazhuang." However, despite saying so, Yang Chao still felt a chill in his heart at this moment. He slowed down and said to Yang Xiaoshan, "Xiaoshan, you are sensible now. If father is not around in the future, you have to take care of mother and sister." Although he hoped that he could come back safely, he had to make the worst plan. Yang Xiaoshan heard what his father meant and said, "Father, you will be fine." He would not let anything happen to his father. Yang Chao did not think much about it, just as his son's words of comfort, and smiled. "Okay, wait for father to come back, and buy you cakes from Daohua village." A moment later, under the watchful eyes of Yang Xiaoshan, Huang Ying, Yang Linga and others, Yang Chao and the guards of Yang Jiazhuang went to Hefeng village. It was not until Yang Chao's figure disappeared in the snow that they returned to the yard. As soon as he returned to the room, Yang Xiaoshan turned into a phantom and left Yang Jiazhuang. Yang Xiaoshan turned into a residual shadow, constantly shuttling through the dense forest. Now, he had to rush to Black Wine Village before his father, and get rid of the 14 innates of Black Wine Village. As long as the 14 innates of Black Wine Village were eliminated, the minions of Black Wine Village would not threaten his father's safety. Dalo Mountain. Dalo Mountain is located in the north of Zizhou of Shenhe country. It is a relatively large mountain range in Zizhou. Black Wine Village is located in Dalo Mountain. When Yang Xiaoshan arrived at Dalo Mountain, it was already bright, and the mountain was full of patrolling bandits from Black Wine Village. However, after Yang Xiaoshan turned into a soul, he hid in the darkness, avoided these patrolling bandits one by one, and entered the depths of Black Wine Village. In the depths of Black Wine Village, there were fewer patrolling bandits, and those who came in and out were generally high-level members of Black Wine Village. However, along the way, Yang Xiaoshan saw many young women being held captive. These young women were dressed in messy clothes, and could not hide their fear on their faces. They were obviously robbed. If they fell into the hands of the robbers in Hefeng village, their fate could be imagined. In addition to these young women, there were many people tied to tree stumps, including the elderly young people, and even children. Many of these people tied to the tree stumps were covered with blood stains, and tortured to death, even some children of 4 or 5 years old. Seeing this, Yang Xiaoshen's eyes were cold. Village leader, the scout just sent back the news that the people from Yangjiazhuang have arrived. It is estimated that they will arrive at our Hefeng village in an hour, but the leader is not Yang He, but Yang Qiao. At this time, a voice came. Yang Xiaoshen's heart moved, and he followed the voice to a yard. In the yard, Ma Dongping, the leader of Hefeng village, was playing with a knife. Hearing this, he said, Yang He is smart, let his brother come to die. Master Wei said that no matter who comes to Yangjiazhuang to ask for this batch of mineral materials, they will all be killed. Master Wei? Yang Xiaoshen was surprised. No wonder Black Wine Village still dared to rob Yangjiazhuang of its mineral materials, even though they knew that Yangjiazhuang had climbed up to Chen Yuan from the Divine Sword Academy. It turned out that someone was behind the scenes instructing them. Just when Ma Dongping was about to speak again, he suddenly saw a 7 or 8-year-old child walking over. Ma Dongping was stunned. The other people in the yard were also stunned. The child was Yang Xiaoshen. Ma Dongping saw Yang Xiaoshen coming with a murderous look on his face. After a moment of stunned, he smiled to everyone and said, "Where did this little thing come from? He looks murderous. He is not going to kill me, is he?" Everyone at the scene laughed. At this moment, suddenly, Yang Xiaoshen punched out. Suddenly, the airflow in the space whistled. A dragon of true energy broke through the air with a huge fist print, and instantly hit Ma Dongping with an unstoppable momentum. Feeling the tyrannical power of the fist print, Ma Dongping's face changed completely. Without thinking, he slashed out with the big knife in his hand. But as soon as he slashed, the dragon of true energy hit his big knife. Ding. Ma Dongping felt a sharp pain in his arm, and the sword in his hand was thrown into the air. Ma Dongping flew backwards like a fallen leaf and hit the stone pillar at the end of the yard. Boom. The stone pillar was smashed to pieces. Ma Dongping fell to the ground fiercely, vomiting blood wildly. The laughter just stopped abruptly. The scene was dead silent. The other innate masters of the Black Wind Village reacted immediately, and they were furious. They drew their weapons and attacked Yang Xiaoshen. However, Yang Xiaoshen was faster. The Tangshan Divine Sword appeared in his hand and stabbed out with one sword. 2 sword beams cut through the heavy airwaves, instantly sank into the throats of the 2 innate masters of the Black Wind Village. One sword of yin and yang. After awakening the power of the true dragon, Yang Xiaoshen's sword became faster. As soon as these masters of the Black Wind Village saw the sword beam, their throats were already cut open. After one sword, Yang Xiaoshen did not stop, and the tip of the sword pointed directly to the sky. But a clear sound of sword energy rang out, and the masters of Black Wine Village looked up in shock. They saw 6 sword energies coming down from the sky. They dodged in fear, but they were still a step too slow. The sword energy instantly blasted into their heads. They froze. Then, the first 2 people who were stabbed by the yin-yang sword fell down, and the sword hole in their throats continued to spurt out blood. For the other few people, blood spurted out from the top of their heads and fell to the ground one by one. All the masters of Black Wine Village had their eyes wide open, and they couldn't believe it. They never thought that one day they would die in the hands of a 7 or 8-year-old child. Yang Xiaoshen often went into the mountains and forests with the golden armor beast to hunt beasts these days. Looking at the bloody scene in front of him, he didn't feel uncomfortable. He came to Ma Dongping with a sword. Ma Dongping looked at Yang Xiaoshen, who was only 7 or 8 years old, and his face was full of fear. "Who instructed you to rob the mineral materials of Yangjiazhuang?" Yang Xiaoshen looked at the other party coldly. "Who is Lord Wei? Yangjiazhuang?" Ma Dongping was stunned. Could this child be from Yangjiazhuang? "Who are you?" Ma Dongping asked in surprise. At this time, a burst of dense footsteps sounded, and a large group of Black Wine Village masters rushed in from outside. However, when these Black Wine Village masters saw the innate masters lying in a pool of blood, they were all stunned. Chapter 13. Is it the Dragon Blood Fist? All the masters of Black Wine Village looked at Yang Xiaoshen. At this time, Yang Xiaoshen had already put on the dragon head mask, which he bought when he went shopping in the city with his parents yesterday. "Quick, save the village chief." The masters of Black Wine Village who rushed in reacted and all drew their weapons to attack Yang Xiaoshen. Yang Xiaoshan frowned, waved the Tangshan divine sword in his hand, and the sword light bloomed again. Suddenly, 2 innate masters of Black Wine Village fell down, holding their throats. However, the people of Black Wine Village continued to attack. Seeing this, Yang Xiaoshan's eyes were cold, and the Tangshan divine sword in his hand kept stabbing out. The sword light kept blooming in the yard. The masters of Black Wine Village who rushed in kept falling to the ground. The whole yard was stained red with blood. Yang Xiaoshan solved the last person, and the sword was against Ma Dongping's throat. His eyes became colder. Who is Lord Wei? Ma Dongping's eyes were terrified, and he said, I don't know, I only know that he is called Lord Wei, and every time he appears, he wears a copper mask. Yang Xiaoshan frowned. He is very powerful, at least a martial king. Ma Dongping added. At least a martial king? Yang Xiaoshan's face was solemn. Above the Xianshan Grandmaster is the realm of the martial king. A martial king is definitely a powerful person in the Shenhe kingdom. But why would such a powerful person deal with Yang Jiazhuang? At this time, more and more masters of the Black Wind Village poured into the yard. Just as Ma Dongping was about to beg for mercy, Yang Xiaoshan thrust the long sword in his hand and stabbed it directly into the opponent's throat. Blood kept gushing out. Ma Dongping opened his eyes wide and stared at the front, trying to grab something, but eventually fell to the ground and stopped moving. At this time, the robbers of the Black Wind Village who rushed in were all frightened pale when they saw the dead bodies of Ma Dongping and the Xianshan Grandmasters. Although these robbers were cruel, it did not mean that they were not afraid of death. When Yang Xiaoshan came with a sword, the robbers who came later from the Black Wind Village retreated in fear. Several of them raised their swords to attack Yang Xiaoshan angrily, but Yang Xiaoshan punched them and sent them flying backwards from the gate of the courtyard. Even the gate was blown away. Seeing this, the other robbers dared not stay any longer and fled in panic. However, these robbers had committed many evil deeds. If they escaped, there would be many more women, children and young children who would die in their hands. Therefore, Yang Xiaoshan would not let any of them go if he could. While shaking his body, he performed the Teikai boxing and the Teikai Sutra. 1 punch, 1 elbow, and 1 palm. Yang Xiaoshan shuffled among the Black Wind Village gang members, and every time he attacked, he would definitely knock one person away. These people were crippled by his punches and palms, even if they didn't die. Seeing Yang Xiaoshan chasing, more and more Black Wind Village gang members fled in panic, and the entire Black Wind Village was in panic. At this time, Yang Chao's team arrived at the foot of Daluo Mountain. Looking at Daluo Mountain, which was like a dragon's den and a tiger's lair, Yang Chao felt more and more uneasy. However, just as he was about to grit his teeth and lead the Yang family guards up the mountain, he suddenly saw several Black Wind Village gang members running out in panic. Brothers from Black Wine Village, we are from Yang Jiazhuang. Yang Chao was about to speak, but he saw that these Black Wine Village gang members did not pay any attention to him at all, and rushed past them in a hurry, and fled away in the blink of an eye. As they fled, they looked behind them from time to time, unable to hide the fear on their faces. Looking at the fleeing Black Wine Village gang members, Yang Chao and others looked at each other. What was going on? At this time, another group of Black Wine Village gang members ran down the mountain, and this time there were more. The panicked look was no different from the previous few people. Yang Chao and others were even more confused. Black Wine Village, what happened? Yang family guard Sunhua said in surprise. Judging from the panic of these Black Wine Village gang members running away, something must have happened in Black Wine Village. Let's go up and take a look, Yang Chao said in a deep voice. However, when Yang Chao and his companions entered the Black Wind Village, they saw the Black Wind Village gang members fleeing in panic along the way. These Black Wine Village gang members were only concerned with escaping, and no one paid any attention to them. Yang Chao felt more and more strange. When Yang Chao and his companions came to the depths of the Black Wind Village, they were stunned to see the Black Wind Village masters lying in pools of blood everywhere in front of them. The people of Yang Jiazhuang were shocked. As they continued to go deeper, they were more and more shocked. It's Ma Dongping. One of them suddenly shouted. Yang Chao was shocked and looked. Sure enough, the man with a full beard lying in the distance was the Black Wind Village leader Ma Dongping. In addition to Ma Dongping, there were more than a dozen other innate masters of the Black Wind village lying in this yard. All dead. Seeing all the innate masters of the Black Wind village all died in front of them, the guards of Yangji Azhuang were shocked. This scene made all of them unforgettable. The people of Yangji Azhuang stepped forward in shock to check the fatal wounds on Ma Dongping and others. One sword to seal the throat. What a terrifying fist force. Also, the sword energy entered from the top of the head. What kind of sword technique is this? The people in Yangji Azhuang were more and more frightened the more they looked. Second village owner, look. One of them pointed at Ma Dongping's chest and suddenly shouted. Yang Chao looked carefully and saw a terrifying fist mark on Ma Dongping's chest. In the huge fist mark, there was a faint dragon head blood pattern, but it was very faint and difficult to find without careful observation. Then, they saw the dragon head blood pattern on several people. Yang Chao's throat was dry. What kind of fist technique was this? After killing someone, a dragon head blood pattern appeared. Could it be the legendary dragon blood fist? The sword technique that killed these people seems to be somewhat similar to the sword technique that killed the felon Hu Lai. A guard said uncertainly. No way. Another guard said. Yang Chao observed carefully and found that the sword technique wounds that killed the people in Hefeng village and Hu Lai's wounds were indeed very similar. Could it be that they were really done by the same person? Second village owner, what should we do now? Guard Sun Hua asked. 5 people form a group and look for mineral materials in our Yangji Azhuang first. Yang Chao thought for a moment and said. At this time, Yang He and Yang Ming didn't know about the Black Wind village. In Yangji Azhuang, Yang He held the letter and said to Yang Ming happily, Father, Chonja just sent a letter back saying that he will be back in 2 days. And he has already broken through to the 3rd level. He is now at the 3rd level. Yang He was very excited when he said this. Yang Ming laughed happily when he heard it. 3rd level, good. You are worthy of being my grandson, Yang Ming. This speed of cultivation is enough to be recorded in the history of Shenhe country. It was absolutely amazing to break through to the 3rd level in less than 2 months of cultivation. Lord Chenyuan, will you come too? Yang Ming asked excitedly. Lord Chenyuan is here too. Yang He said with a happy smile, and the 4th princess is here too. The 4th princess is now Chonja's senior sister. When Yang Ming heard that the 4th princess of Shenhe country was also coming to Yangji Azhuang, he felt overjoyed and said excitedly, Chonja is a blessing to Yangji Azhuang. I, Yang Ming, am so lucky to have a grandson like Chonja. Chapter 14 Moving out of Yangji Azhuang. Just when Yang Ming and Yang He were excited about Yang Chang's return in 2 days, the old housekeeper Yang Lin walked in. The old Manarona, the first Manarona, and the second Manarona are back. Yang He was very surprised when he heard it and then said, they came back so soon, they didn't even dare to enter the Black Wind village, so they retreated halfway. It seems that the mineral materials were not brought back. Yang Ming was very disappointed. But the old housekeeper Yang Lin had a strange look on his face and said, the old Manarona, the first Manarona, and the second Manarona have actually brought back the mineral materials from Yangji Azhuang. What? They are coming back? Yang He was stunned and said in disbelief, are you sure it's the batch of mineral materials we lost? Yang Ming also looked unconvinced. Yang Lin said, it's true, the mineral materials brought back by the second Manarona are now placed outside the manor. The guards confirmed that they are the batch of mineral materials that were lost in Yangji Azhuang before, and not a cent is missing. Not a cent is missing. When Yang Ming heard it, he rushed out, and Yang He followed him out in confusion. They came to the outside of the manor and saw the mountains of mineral materials. Yang He still didn't believe it, so he opened the boxes one by one to check. But when he checked the last box, it was indeed the mineral materials he had lost before. No more, no less, a total of 100 boxes. Yang Ming smiled and said to Yang Chao, well done. This batch of mineral materials is very important to Yangji Azhuang. Yang Chao took out the 10,000 gold and smiled to Yang Ming. Father, this is the 10,000 gold you gave me before. All of them are here. Yang Ming and Yang He were both greatly surprised. Yang Chao explained, when we went to Black Wine Village, Ma Dongping and others in Black Wine Village were all killed. Then he told the situation in detail. After listening, Yang Ming and Yang He were both shocked. The 14 innate masters and a group of leaders in Black Wine Village were all killed. In addition to being shocked, Yang He regretted it in his heart. If he had known this earlier, he would have gone there himself, and he would have brought back the mineral materials. Do you know who the other party is? Yang Ming couldn't help asking. Yang Chao shook his head. I don't know, but the other party is a master swordsman, and his fist power is very strange. When he hits the body, a real dragon blood pattern will appear, like the legendary dragon blood fist. Dragon blood fist? Yang Ming was surprised. By the way, the sword wounds on Ma Dongping and others are very similar to those of the previous felon Hu Lai. Yang Chao remembered something and said, it may be the same person. The same person. Yang Ming and Yang He were surprised. Yang Chao hesitated for a moment and said to Yang Ming, Father, you said before that, as long as I get the mineral materials back, you will let me manage half of the mines in Yangjiazhuang. Yang Ming showed a look of embarrassment. Yang He said first, second brother, you just happened to encounter the killing of Ma Dongping and others in the Black Wind Village, and you got a bargain for free. This batch of mineral materials was not brought back by your own ability. This doesn't count. Yang Chao was angry when he heard it. I didn't expect my eldest brother to be so shameless. Before, my father meant that I just needed to bring the mineral materials back. At that time, my eldest brother was also present and agreed. Now, not only did he bring back the mineral materials, but he also saved 10,000 gold for Yangjiazhuang. It can be said that he had exceeded the target, but his elder brother turned his face and refused to admit it. At this time, Yang Ming also said to Yang Chao, how about this? You are not familiar with the mine situation. You can first take a job in the mine under your elder brother to get familiar with the mine business, and then we can talk about managing the mine later. Yang Chao's heart suddenly sank, and he smiled, a sad smile, saying that he was not familiar with the mine situation, which was just an excuse. He suppressed his anger. In this case, then I don't want this job. When Yang He heard this, he was not happy and said, second brother, your family's food, clothing and shelter are all from Yangjiazhuang. Now your father asked you to take a job in the mine, but you are unwilling to do it? Do you want Yangjiazhuang to support your family for nothing? Yang Ming did not speak, obviously agreeing with Yang He's statement. Yang Chao laughed wildly. Yangjiazhuang supports our family for free. So, my family relies on Yangjiazhuang for charity, to have a bite to eat, right? Yang Ming's face darkened and he shouted, enough. Yang Chao took a deep breath. Since you all think so, why should our family stay in Yangjiazhuang with a thick face? Okay, I will pack up my things in the next few days, and after the 15th day of the first lunar month, we will move out of Yangjiazhuang and never rely on Yangjiazhuang for charity again. After that, he left. Seeing Yang Chao leave, Yang He couldn't help but say to Yang Ming, Father, my second brother is too unreasonable. Yang Ming raised his hand and said, if he wants to move, let him move. Without the protection of my Yangjiazhuang, he can't do anything. In a few days, he will beg to move back. Then he ordered Yang He, go and check what happened to the Black Wind Village. Who killed Ma Dongping and others? At this time, Yang Xiaoshan, who had already returned to the yard, soon learned about the conflict between his father and Yang Ming and Yang He, and knew that his father decided to move out of Yangjiazhuang. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the yard where his grandfather lived and clenched his fists. It turned out that in his grandfather's eyes, their family had always relied on Yangjiazhuang for charity. Yang Zhang will be back in 2 days, right? He said to himself. He had heard that Yang Zhang would return to Yangjiazhuang in 2 days, and of course he knew why Yang Zhang came back to Yangjiazhuang so soon. Yang Zhang broke through the 3rd level and was anxious to come back to compete with him to avenge the annual competition. Level 3. Yang Xiaoshan's robe fluttered without wind, and a real dragon flew out of his body. After a moment, Yang Xiaoshan's breath was completely restrained, and he took out the medicine cauldron and began to refine the foundation building spirit liquid. Refining the foundation building spirit liquid was naturally not for him to swallow and practice, but for selling it. He wanted to refine the innate elixir, but there were no medicinal materials for refining the innate elixir in the valley, so he had to get money to buy it. Refining the 4-symbol spirit pill requires nearly 100 kinds of medicinal materials, which is not a small number. Although he killed Hulai, Ma Dongping and others, and searched for a lot of gold, this little gold is far from enough. Half a day later, Yang Xiaoshan looked at the dozen or so portions of foundation building spirit liquid in the jade bottle, and nodded with satisfaction. After breaking through the innate master, he was more adept at controlling the fire of heaven and earth, and it was easier to refine the foundation building spirit liquid than before. In just half a day, he refined more than a dozen portions. Moreover, these dozen portions of foundation building spirit liquid were more refined than before. Yang Xiaoshan put away more than a dozen foundation building spiritual liquids, and flashed out of Yangjiazhuang, heading for the largest business in Xingaiyu City. At this time, in the backyard of Feng'an Business, the largest business in Xingaiyu City, when Jingaiyu was looking at the account book of the business this month, her eyebrows were furrowed. She had been appointed by the family to take charge of the Xingaiyu City branch business for several months, and the business's profits had not improved. Just as when Jingaiyu was worried about the business's profits, suddenly, a cough sounded behind her. When Jingaiyu was startled and turned around in surprise, "Who is it?" She looked and saw a figure shrouded in dark airflow coming out a few meters behind her. When Jingai's back was sweating, as a master of the 5th level of innateness, she didn't even notice someone behind her. Is this person the 6th level or the 7th level of innateness? Don't be nervous. I'm here because I have some foundation building spiritual liquids that I want to sell to your business. The figure shrouded in darkness said, and then waved his hand, and more than a dozen jade bottles fell on the stone table in front of her. When Jingaiyu picked up the jade bottle in surprise and opened it, suddenly, the aroma of medicine made her feel refreshed. Is this the best foundation building spiritual liquid? She looked at the foundation building spiritual liquid in the jade bottle in disbelief. Pills like foundation building spiritual liquid are very rare, and excellent foundation building spiritual liquid is even more scarce. As for the best, it was the first time she had seen it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15, Alarming the Divine Sea Nation. Top quality? Yang Xiaoshan was not surprised. The first time he refined the foundation building spiritual liquid, it was already top quality, or even excellent. Now that he has broken through the innate realm, the foundation building spiritual liquid he refined is even more pure, so it is normal that it can reach the top quality. But when Jingaiyu excitedly opened the second jade bottle, it was another top quality foundation building spiritual liquid. When she opened the third jade bottle, her hands were shaking a little. Sure enough, the third bottle was also top quality. The fourth bottle, the fifth bottle, and when she opened the 10th bottle, when Jingaiyu's hands were no longer shaking, all of them were top quality, all top quality foundation building spiritual liquid. After opening all 14 jade bottles, when Jingaiyu took a deep breath and tried to calm herself down, but she couldn't calm down. She dared to guarantee that even her master would never have seen so many top quality foundation building spiritual liquids. In Shenhe country, top quality foundation building spiritual liquids can be seen occasionally, but top quality ones are almost never seen. The last time the top grade foundation building spiritual liquid appeared in Shenhe country was more than 10 years ago, and it was only one portion. Even so, it caused many families and sects to bid frantically. But in front of us, there are 14 portions of top grade foundation building spiritual liquid. Pills, swallowed for cultivation, have more or less side effects, but the higher the quality, the smaller the side effects, and the side effects of top grade pills are so small that they can be ignored. Therefore, once a top grade pill appears, it will cause crazy bidding from all parties. Sir, did you refine these 14 portions of top grade foundation building spiritual liquid? When Jingaiyu asked with a trembling voice. You ask too many questions. Yang Xiaoshan said indifferently. When Jingaiyu's heart trembled, and she quickly said, yes, I'm abrupt. Then she asked, I wonder how you plan to sell these top grade foundation building spiritual liquids. Sell them directly to our company, or auction them? Sell directly. What's the price? Yang Xiaoshan asked. If you sell directly, one portion, 2,500 gold. How about it? Wen Jinggai thought for a while, asked Yang Xiaoshan carefully, and then looked nervous. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. He didn't expect that the top grade foundation building spirit liquid would be so valuable. The ordinary middle grade foundation building spirit liquid usually costs only 5 or 600 gold. Now there are 14 copies. Wouldn't that be 35,000 gold? Yang Xiaoshan's heart was beating wildly. 35,000 gold. I'm afraid many families in Xingaiu City can't afford it. At this time, when Jinggai said nervously, if it is auctioned, the price will be higher, but with so many top grade foundation building spirit liquids, our company needs to promote it and operate it. It will take at least a month before it can be auctioned. Then just sell it directly. Yang Xiaoshan said without thinking. He is in urgent need of money now, and waiting for a month is too long. Okay, wait a moment. When Jinggai heard Yang Xiaoshan say that he wanted to sell it directly, and she couldn't help but be ecstatic. The other party sold it directly to their company. As long as their company operated it, the profit would be greatly increased when it was auctioned. Soon, when Jinggai took out 35,000 gold and handed it to Yang Xiaoshan, Yang Xiaoshan waved his hand and took the 35,000 gold away. When Jinggai was shocked to see that the 35,000 gold disappeared directly. Obviously, the man in black had a space ring, so he could take away the 35,000 gold like a small mountain. I want to buy some medicinal herbs from you. Yang Xiaoshan put away the gold and took out a list of medicinal herbs. When Jinggai took it and looked at the dense list of medicinal herbs, she was shocked. Only when refining Xianshanlingdan would so many medicinal herbs be needed. And what was refined was definitely not an ordinary Xianshanlingdan. There were nearly 100 kinds of medicinal herbs. Ordinary Xianshanlingdan could not require so many precious medicinal herbs. Could it be that the person in front of him was a 2-star alchemist? When Jingai's heart was beating wildly. 2-star alchemists are rarer than those in the Martial King realm. If a 2-star alchemist can refine a high-quality Xianshanlingdan, his status is even more respected. Sir, our Xingaiu City Commercial Bank has some of these medicinal herbs, but some of them are only available in our head office. When Jinggai said respectfully, after learning that the person in front of her was most likely a 2-star alchemist, she became even more respectful. Only the head office has it? Yang Xiaoshan frowned. Don't worry, sir. I can ask the head office to transfer the herbs now. They will arrive in 2 days. When Jinggai said quickly, Yang Xiaoshan nodded. Then, he bought all the herbs for refining the 4-elephant spirit pill that Xingaiu City Business House currently had in stock. It cost more than 4,000 gold. However, the amount of these herbs in Xingaiu City Business House was not much, and at most it was only enough for him to refine 2 4-elephant spirit pills. 2. Yang Xiaoshan was quite helpless. However, he also knew that the herbs for refining Xianshan spirit pills were scarce, so 2 would be 2, and he would find a way to buy them from larger businesses in other cities later. After collecting the herbs, Yang Xiaoshan retreated into the darkness and disappeared in front of Wen Jinggai in the blink of an eye. Wen Jinggai felt creepy watching Yang Xiaoshan disappear strangely in front of her. She had never heard of such an ability. Was it an invisible martial arts skill? Or a martial spirit ability? If it is a martial soul, it is absolutely terrifying. With such a terrifying stealth ability, the martial soul level must be very high. It is very likely a super martial soul. When Jingai's heart was pounding. After returning to Yang Jiazhuang, Yang Xiaoshan continued to practice the dragon art and Tangshan sword technique. The next day, the news that Feng'an Business in Xingaiu City would auction 14 sets of top-grade foundation building spiritual liquids soon spread throughout Xingaiu City, and then spread to the surrounding major cities at an astonishing speed. In the end, almost the entire Shenhe kingdom knew about it. A stone stirred up 1,000 waves, and for a time, the entire Shenhe kingdom was boiling. What? 14 sets of top-grade foundation building spiritual liquids? Chen Yuan and other senior executives of the Divine Sword Academy were also surprised when they heard the news. Lin Yang, the president of the Divine Sword Academy, pondered and said, I inquired about it. When the Xingqiu City Feng'an business house auctions 2 units each time, it will be divided into 7 auctions, and these 14 units of top grade foundation building spiritual liquid were sold directly to Feng'an business house by a man in black. He glanced at everyone and said, this man in black also bought a large number of medicinal materials for refining Xianshan Lingdan from Feng'an business house. The other party should be a 2-star alchemist. These 14 units of top grade foundation building spiritual liquid should be made by the other party. All the senior executives of the Divine Sword Academy were shocked. Top grade foundation building spiritual liquid is very difficult to refine. Some alchemists can hardly refine it in their lifetime. If these 14 units of top grade foundation building spiritual liquid were refined by this man in black alone, then the other party's alchemy level is absolutely shocking. Do you know what he looks like? Chen Yuan asked. If we can invite this person to be the elder of our Divine Sword Academy, the strength of our Divine Sword Academy will surely increase greatly. At that time, with this person in charge of our Divine Sword Academy, countless geniuses from Shenhe country and even the surrounding countries will surely compete to join our Divine Sword Academy. Chen Yuan's words were not exaggerated. The fact that he could refine the best foundation building spiritual liquid was enough to attract countless geniuses from Shenhe country and the surrounding countries. Lin Yang shook his head. The other party was covered with black airflow. When Jinggai from Feng'an Chamber of Commerce could not see his face clearly, she only knew that he was short. However, how could such a person be willing to join our Divine Sword Academy? We should not waste our efforts. Chapter 16 Welcoming the Fourth Princess. The leaders of the Divine Sword Academy were discussing the 14 bottles of the best foundation building spiritual liquid, and everyone in Yangjiazhuang was also discussing it, including Yang Chao and Huang Ying. If we can bid for 2 bottles of the best foundation building spiritual liquid and let Xiaoshan swallow it for cultivation, Xiaoshan might soon be able to break through to the 2nd level, or even the 3rd level, Huang Ying said. Yang Chao smiled bitterly. 2 bottles of the best foundation building spiritual liquid. I'm afraid it will cost 6 or 7,000 gold. We can't even afford one. At this point, he sighed deeply. He certainly didn't want to bid for this best foundation building spiritual liquid for his son to swallow for cultivation, but now he couldn't raise the money for 1 bottle of the best foundation building spiritual liquid, even if he sold everything he had. How is the yard? Huang Ying also knew her own situation, so she asked instead. They were going to move out of Yangjiazhuang, so they naturally had to find a place to live. Yang Chao shook his head. There are a few courtyards for sale in the north of Xingqiu City, but the location is too remote. It is not convenient to travel, and the price is not cheap. It costs 700 gold. There is a courtyard for sale in the south of the city. It is larger and the location is not bad, but the price is too high. It costs more than 1,500 gold. Although he has some savings over the years, it is not much. He can only take out 1,000 gold at most. Huang Ying hesitated for a moment and said, or, I will go back and borrow some from my father. Her father is the head of the Huang family in Licheng. The Huang family has a rich family background, and her father has always loved her, so he is willing to lend this little money. Yang Chao thought about it, but still shook his head and said, until the last minute, let's not trouble my father-in-law. He knew that his father-in-law was willing to lend, but Huang Ying's sister-in-law was very fierce. If she knew that Huang Ying went back to her parents' home to borrow money, she might say something unpleasant. I still have some jewelry, so I'll pawn it. I should be able to collect 500 or 600 gold. Then I can buy the yard in the south of the city first. Huang Ying said. Yang Chao sighed. It can only be done this way. Then he held Huang Ying's hand and said affectionately, Jinga, following me, you have suffered. Huang Ying shook her head. It doesn't matter whether it's hard or not. I have you, Xiaoshan, and Linga, and I'm very satisfied. That day, Huang Ying pawned her jewelry and collected 600 gold. Yang Chao and Huang Ying then took Yang Xiaoshan and Yang Linga into the city, paid the money, and bought the yard in the south of the city. The yard has 3 entrances and 3 exits and 7 rooms. Although some places are overgrown with weeds, and there is no furniture, Yang Chao is very satisfied when he looks at the yard in front of him. He smiled at Yang Xiaoshan and Yang Linga. From now on, this will be our new home. We will move in a few days, okay? Okay. Yang Linga clapped her hands and laughed happily. Yang Xiaoshan shrugged. Of course, he had no objection to moving out of Yang Jiazhuang. These days, he had suffered discrimination and ridicule from Yang Jiazhuang. It would be best if he could move out. After completing the formalities, the few of them locked the main gate. When they came out of the courtyard, they ran into Zheng Hangsen, the head of the Zheng family in Xingyu City. Zheng Hangsen, who was pot-bellied, came forward with a group of guards. When he saw Yang Chao, he said with a smile, "Hey, isn't this second Manor Master Yang Chao? I heard that you were driven out of Yangjia Manor." Then he said with a smile, "Is this the new house you bought?" Pointing to the crumbling courtyard wall, he said with a smile, "This house is so shabby, I didn't expect second Manor Master Yang Chao to like it." Yang Chao's face darkened. "What's the matter?" Zheng Hangsen heard that. His eyes were unfriendly, and he smiled. "I heard that you bought a new house. I just came to congratulate you." After a pause, he said, "But I heard that someone died in this house before, and there is a lot of evil spirits. Second Manor Master Yang Chao has to be careful when he moves in. Maybe he died in it after just a few days of living in it." After that, he left with a group of guards laughing. Yang Chao's face was not good, and Huang Ying was very angry. Yang Xiaoshan looked at Zheng Hangsen's figure who left in a swagger, his eyes cold. The Zheng family was in the silk business. Before, my father was in charge of the silk business in Yangjiazhuang. There were many conflicts of interest with the other party, and the two sides had fought each other. However, Zheng Hangsen was no match for his father, and was beaten by his father. Judging from Zheng Hangsen's posture just now, it was obvious that this matter was not over yet. At this time, Yang Chao said, "I heard that Zheng Hangsen has recently hooked up with Wen Jiabui of Feng'an Commercial Bank. Is it Wen Jiabui, the manager of Feng'an Commercial Bank?" Huang Ying couldn't help but show worry on her face. Yang Chao nodded. He was naturally not afraid of Zheng Hangsen alone, but if it was Feng'an Commercial Bank, it would be troublesome. Feng'an Commercial Bank is a large commercial bank in Shenhe country, with branches in many cities in Shenhe country. Wen Jiabui? Yang Xiaoshan wrote it down. In the following days, Yang Chao asked his men to move things to the new house one after another, and asked people to clean the new house and buy some new furniture. However, because of his tight budget, he bought the furniture at a cheap price. As usual, Yang Xiaoshan practiced in the valley at night and read the secret book of alchemy in Yangjiazhuang during the day. Through these days of accumulation, he has a better understanding of elixirs. I don't know if it's because of the awakening of the twin supreme martial spirits, he found that his memory has become very good. No matter what the formula of the elixir is, he can remember it, as long as he reads it once. As for martial arts, he can practice it completely after reading it once, and can comprehend the mysteries of various moves. 2 days passed quickly. Just when Yang Xiaoshan was about to go to Feng'an Commercial Bank to get the remaining medicinal materials, he heard the guards and maids of Yangjiazhuang running around to say, "Young Master Yang Zhang is back." For a time, Yangjiazhuang was shocked. Yang Ming, Yang He and others were very excited and quickly led the masters of Yangjiazhuang out of the village to welcome the fourth princess of Shenhe Kingdom and Chen Yuan. However, no one came to inform Yang Xiaoshan and his family. With Yang Ming, Yang He and others respectfully welcoming them, the team of Cheng Bibi, the fourth princess of Shenhe Kingdom, and Chen Yuan and Yang Zhang finally arrived slowly. Cheng Bibi's team was very grand, with dozens of masters. Yang Ming and Yang He from Yangjiazhuang pay their respects to Her Royal Highness the Princess. Yang Ming and Yang He saw the team from afar and excitedly stepped forward to salute. Cheng Bibi, who was 3 years older than Yang Zhang, was noble and arrogant. She rode a spirit beast and looked down at Yang Ming, Yang He and others, asking them to stand up. Afterwards, with Yang Ming, Yang He and others excitedly inviting them, Cheng Bibi, Chen Yuan and their team entered Yangjiazhuang. After a while, Yang Ming and Yang He were frowning. They did not expect that the fourth princess would bring so many guards and followers this time, and the courtyard they had originally arranged was not enough to accommodate them. Or, let my second brother give up his yard. He wants to move out, right? It doesn't matter if he moves early or late, so let him move out today. Yang He thought for a while and said, if his yard is vacant, it will be enough for the 4th princess guards and entourage to live in. Okay. Yang Ming nodded, as he couldn't think of any other solution. Chapter 17. You are worthy of being Yang Ming's good grandson. After a while, Yang He brought his son Yang Zong and a group of guards to Yang Cheo's yard. Seeing that Yang Cheo, Huang Ying, Yang Zhaoshan, and Yang Linga were all there, Yang He didn't waste any words and directly explained his purpose. What? Let us move out now. Yang Cheo and Huang Ying all looked unhappy. Yang He said expressionlessly, the 4th princess is here today. There are too many followers and there are not enough rooms in Yang Jiazhuang. You will have to move sooner or later. Today is the same. I hope my second brother will understand the difficulties of Yang Jiazhuang. Yang Cheo laughed angrily. Understand the difficulties of Yang Jiazhuang? Then can Yang Jiazhuang understand our difficulties? He suppressed his anger and said, okay, we will move today. At this time, Yang Zong stared at Yang Zhaoshan. Yang Zhaoshan, do you remember that I said last time that I would challenge you again when I come back? Yang Zhaoshan stared at him and said, remember, why, you want to challenge now? Yang Zong was stunned and laughed. Let's compete now. Let's go to the martial arts arena now, how about it? Yang Zhaoshan heard the words. How could he not understand the other party's little trick in his heart? Yang Zong planned to defeat him in front of everyone in Yang Jiazhuang on the martial arts arena, which would be more exciting. At this time, Yang Cheo said to Yang Zhang, Yang Zong, Zhaoshan is not your opponent. There is no need to compete. He had heard about Yang Zong's breakthrough to the 3rd level. Yang He smiled and said, second brother, the 2 kids are just playing around. Don't worry. Yang Zong will be careful and won't hurt Zhaoshan. Yang Cheo was about to speak, but Yang Zhaoshan said, okay, let's meet at the martial arts arena. After that, he walked towards the martial arts arena. Yang Zong was overjoyed when he saw him, and also walked towards the martial arts arena. Yang He followed him, and at the same time secretly signaled his guards to spread the news of Yang Zhaoshan and Yang Zong's martial arts competition. Yang Cheo and Huang Ying looked at Yang Zhaoshan's figure walking towards the martial arts arena, but they were worried. This kid is just like you, too impulsive. Huang Ying said anxiously. Yang Cheo smiled bitterly. What does this have to do with him? Yang Ming and Chen Yuan were talking about the auction of the best foundation building spirit liquid by Feng'an Commercial Bank in a month. The guards of Yang Jiazhuang came in to report that Yang Zhaoshan and Yang Zong were going to have a martial arts competition. The 2 became interested and came to the martial arts arena. At this time, the 4th princess Cheng Bibi also learned the news and was shocked. Junior brother wants to compete with a kid named Yang Zhaoshan? Yes, this Yang Zhaoshan is the cousin of Master Yang Zhang, a few days younger than Master Yang Zhang. His subordinate Lao Chengfei explained, it's just that Yang Zhaoshan awakened a level 2 giant turtle spirit. A level 2 giant turtle spirit dares to compete with junior brother in martial arts? Cheng Bibi laughed. Isn't this asking for a beating? Let's go and see the excitement. After that, she led her subordinates Lao Chengfei and others to the Yang Jiazhuang martial arts stage. For a moment, everyone surrounded the martial arts stage. After Chen Yuan arrived, he looked at Yang Zhaoshan on the martial arts stage and said with a smile, little guy, I remember you said last time that when my disciple comes back, you will defeat my disciple in one move, right? You have to use all your strength later, otherwise it will be embarrassing if you are defeated by my disciple in one move. Yang Zhaoshan said, what if I defeat your disciple? Chen Yuan laughed and touched his beard. If you can really defeat my disciple, then I will accept you as my disciple. After these days of training, his disciple Yang Zong's strength has changed dramatically. How could Yang Zhaoshan be his disciple's opponent? But you have to be careful. My disciple is very strong now, not what you can imagine. Chen Yuan said with a smile. Really? Yang Zhaoshan looked at Yang Zong in front of him. Cheng Bibi shook his head and laughed. A second level martial spirit actually wants to defeat my junior brother? Idiot. Cheng Bibi's voice was not loud, but many people at the scene heard it. Yang Zong looked at Yang Zhaoshan. His fighting spirit circulated, and he said, Yang Zhaoshan, summon your martial spirit. I'll let you make the first move. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. You'd better make the first move, otherwise you'll be beaten to tears by me like last time. Last time, Yang Zhang asked Yang Xiaoshan to make the first move, but he ended up getting beaten into panda eyes by Yang Xiaoshan. When Yang Xiaoshan mentioned the last annual meeting, Yang Zhang couldn't help but think of the humiliating scene at the annual meeting. He was angry and suddenly punched Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan, take my punch. Yang Zhang was like a tiger out of the cage, punching out with a faint tiger's power. Late third stage. The guards of Yang Jiazhuan were shocked. After Yang Zhang broke through the third stage, Yang Ming and Yang He did not publicize it, so now the guards of Yang Jiazhuan were shocked to see Yang Zhang actually break through to the third stage. Even Yang Ming and Yang He were surprised. Previously, Yang Zhang's reply only said that he had broken through to the third level, but he did not say that he had broken through to the late third level. The two thought that Yang Zhang had just barely broken through to the third level. But, you are worthy of being my good grandson, Yang Ming said excitedly as he looked at Yang Zhang on the martial arts stage. His grandson Yang Zhang really gave him a big surprise. This kid has the style of me back then. Yang He also grinned excitedly. He also did not expect his son to give him such a big surprise. Chen Yuan also showed a satisfied smile. Yang Zhang, this disciple, exceeded his expectations, and he was very satisfied. Yang Ming said to Chen Yuan, Master Chen Yuan, Zonja performed the Tiger King Fist, right? Tiger King Fist is one of the most advanced martial arts acquired by the Divine Sword Academy. Yang Ming is also familiar with Tiger King Fist. Yes, it is Tiger King Fist. Chen Yuan smiled. In the amazement of everyone, Yang Zhang punched in front of Yang Xiaoshan. Seeing Yang Zhang attacking like a tiger, Yang Xiaoshan looked calm. He raised his hand, activated his fourth order power, and punched out casually. Boom. The two fists collided. The light shook. Yang Zhang, who was originally as fierce as a tiger, flew away like a dead leaf. Finally, he fell on the edge of the martial arts stage. The dust on the edge of the martial arts stage flew endlessly. Chapter 18. Let's do it tonight. All the laughter, all the excitement, all the joy, came to an abrupt end. Yang Ming, Yang He, Chen Yuan were stunned. Chen Bibei was stunned. All the guards of Yang Jiazhuan were stunned. Even Yang Chao and Huang Ying were dumbfounded. Fourth level. Chen Yuan stammered, looking at Yang Xiaoshan standing on the martial arts stage in disbelief. Impossible. Yang He was also incredulous. A second level giant turtle martial spirit, in less than 2 months, actually broke through to the fourth level? While everyone was shocked and unbelievable, Yang Linger applauded and laughed. Brother is great. At this time, Yang Zhang, who was hit on the edge of the martial arts stage, endured the pain and climbed up, staring at Yang Xiaoshan furiously, unable to accept the facts in front of him. How can you, a second level giant turtle martial spirit, be stronger than me? I don't believe it. After saying that, he once again circulated his fighting spirit and blasted towards Yang Xiaoshan frantically. Tiger King go down the mountain. He roared. Tiger King go down the mountain is the strongest attack of Tiger King Fist. This move is like a tiger rushing down from a high mountain with unstoppable power. Compared with the previous punch, Yang Zhang's punch was undoubtedly much stronger. If this punch hits, Yang Xiaoshan's ribs will probably be broken. The power of the third stage late stage fighting spirit can knock an adult away at full strength. However, Yang Xiaoshan didn't even look at it and directly raised his hand and punched again. Bang! The two fists collided. Yang Zhang was blown away again like a leaf swept by the wind. This time, he flew directly out of the martial arts stage and fell to the ground below the martial arts stage. The ground shook. Seeing Yang Zhang fall into the ground, everyone was shocked. Zonja. Yang He woke up and rushed to Yang Zhang frantically. He picked Yang Zhang up and found that Yang Zhang's injuries were not serious. He just fainted. Then he breathed a sigh of relief. Yang He turned and stared at Yang Chao with anger. Yang Chao, you still don't admit it. It must be you who stole the family's money to buy a large amount of foundation building spirit liquid for your son. Yang Ming also looked at his son Yang Chao with unkind eyes. Obviously, he also believed what his eldest son said. Otherwise, how could Yang Xiaoshan, a level 2 martial spirit, break through to level 4 so quickly? unless Yang Xiaoshan swallowed a large amount of foundation building spirit liquid. A large amount of foundation building spirit liquid? At this time, Yang Xiaoshan sneered, do you think everyone is like your useless son, who needs to swallow a large amount of foundation building spirit liquid to break through to level 3 or 4? Yang Hei's face flushed. You. Yang Xiaoshan jumped off the martial arts stage and said to Yang Chao and Huang Ying, who were still in shock, father, mother, let's go. Yang Chao and Huang Ying woke up and looked at their son Yang Xiaoshan, but didn't know what to say. Under the complicated eyes of everyone, Yang Xiaoshan and his friends left the scene. Back in the yard, Yang Chao and Huang Ying wanted to ask their son several times what was going on, but they swallowed their words in the end. But the little girl Yang Linga kept chirping excitedly. That day, Yang Xiaoshan and his family moved out of Yangjiazhuang. Due to the rush of time, the weeds in many places of the newly purchased house have not been cleared. After moving to the new house, Yang Xiaoshan and his family began to clean the weeds in every corner of the yard. They were busy until nightfall, and Yang Xiaoshan had time to go to Feng'an Commercial Bank to get the remaining medicinal materials. When Jinggai of Feng'an Commercial Bank had been waiting impatiently, seeing Yang Xiaoshan coming, her pretty face was overjoyed. She respectfully presented the medicinal materials to Yang Xiaoshan and gave him the purple gold VIP card of Feng'an Commercial Bank. This purple gold VIP card was specially given to you by our master. I hope you will accept it. When Jinggai said carefully and respectfully, in the future, you can enjoy a 20% discount when you come to our business to buy anything. 20% discount? Yang Xiaoshan did not refuse and accepted it. When Jinggai was very happy to see Yang Xiaoshan accept the purple gold VIP card, but Yang Xiaoshan suddenly asked, is that Wen Jiahui from your Wen family? When Jinggai heard that Yang Xiaoshan's tone was wrong, and her heart skipped a beat. She was very nervous. Wen Jiahui is my cousin. Did he offend you? I'll ask him to come over and kowtow to you and apologize. Let him. Yang Xiaoshan interrupted and said, no need, just tell him not to get too close to Zheng Hongsan of the Zheng family. When Jinggai understood the meaning of Yang Xiaoshan's words and felt relieved, she immediately promised, don't worry, I will order him to sever his relationship with Zheng Hongsan of the Zheng family. Yang Xiaoshan did not comment and disappeared into the darkness, gradually disappearing in front of Wen Jinggai like last time. When Jinggai watched Yang Xiaoshan disappear from her sight, took a deep breath, and immediately had someone drag Wen Jiahui back from the restaurant and scolded him harshly. Although Wen Jiahui is Wen Jinggai's cousin, his status in the family is very different from Wen Jinggai's, and he was terrified by the reprimand. When he learned that Zheng Hongsan had offended a mysterious alchemist and then implicated himself, Wen Jiahui immediately hated Zheng Hongsan. When Jiahui had just returned to his mansion and had not yet sat down when he heard his subordinates report that Zheng Hongsan from the Zheng family was visiting. When Jiahui heard this, he was immediately furious and rushed out directly. Zheng Hongsan, who was waiting outside the gate, saw Wen Jiahui coming out and stepped forward happily. Just as he was about to speak, he saw Wen Jiahui suddenly kick him in the chest, kicking him several meters away. Zheng Hongsan was stunned and looked at Wen Jiahui. Sir, why? Unexpectedly, Wen Jiahui rushed up again, kicked him again, and kicked Zheng Hongsan out again. Why? Wen Jiahui stared at Zheng Hongsan with a murderous look. You still ask me why? You offended the mysterious alchemist, and you want to drag me into it? Mysterious alchemist? Zheng Hongsan was even more confused. When did he offend the alchemist? Sir, I didn't. Zheng Hongsan hurriedly explained. No? Wen Jiahui sneered. Don't let me see you again in the future, otherwise, I will beat you every time I see you. Then he said fiercely, get out of here, and if you dare to come to my mansion next time, I will break your legs. Zheng Hongsan saw that Wen Jiahui didn't seem to be joking, and he didn't dare to explain anymore. He got up in a panic and disappeared at the end of the street in a panic. After returning to his residence, Zheng Hongsan became more and more angry. He really couldn't figure out what alchemist he had offended that made Wen Jiahui so angry with him. Master, Yang Chao's family has moved to the new house today. At this time, his subordinates came in to report. Do you want the people we arranged to start tonight? Zheng Hongsen looked at the gap in his teeth knocked out by Yang Chao in the mirror and said coldly, "Let them start tonight and knock out all of Yang Chao's teeth one by one." Chapter 19 Zheng Hongsen's death. Understood. Zheng Hongsen's men took the order and left. After Yang Xiaoshan came back from Feng'an business, he carefully read the prescription for refining the four symbols elixir again. However, just when he was about to refine the four symbols elixir, he heard a slight strange noise outside the yard. Yang Xiaoshan listened carefully, and his eyes turned cold. At this time, 5 figures quietly came to the outside of the house in the dark. "Is this the new house that Yang Chao bought?" Ziking, who was in the lead, looked at the somewhat old house in front of him. "Yes, Lord Ziking." A person behind hurried forward and smiled respectfully. "Our family master said that he would break all of Yang Chao's teeth." Ziking smiled. "Zheng Hongsen is too nagging. If it were up to me, he would directly get rid of Yang Chao's family of 4. Zheng Hongsen doesn't dare. I will do it for him." Just as he finished speaking, suddenly, a cold snort sounded. "Who?" Ziking was suddenly startled. At this time, a sword light flashed out in the darkness. Just as Ziking was about to dodge, he felt a chill in his throat. He touched his throat and found that his hands were covered in blood. He froze there, staring at the 7 or 8-year-old child who came out of the darkness in disbelief. "You." He opened his mouth and fell down. The sudden change in front of him stunned the others. "Are you Yang Chao's son?" One of them looked at Yang Xiaoshan who came out and said in a trembling voice. That day, he followed Zheng Hongsen and met Yang Xiaoshan once. "Isn't Yang Chao's son a level 2 giant turtle martial spirit?" Just now, he actually killed Ziking, a late 4th level innate master. That was a late 4th level innate master. He was killed by a sword. "You all deserve to die." Yang Xiaoshan said word by word. His voice sounded like it came from hell, and then he turned into a black afterimage and stabbed out with a Tangshan divine sword in his hand. The other 4 people retreated in fear, but they were still a step too slow. They saw several sword energies blasting down from the sky and instantly blasting into the heads of several people. A shocking sword mark extended from the top of the heads of several people to their lower bodies. After a pause, blood spurted out from the tops of several people's heads. Among the 5 people who came this time, except Ziking who was a congenital master, the other 4 were all at the peak of the late 10th level. How could they avoid Yang Xiaoshan's sword of heaven? Yang Xiaoshan looked at the 5 bodies coldly. In his previous life, he was unable to protect his master. In this life, he would not let anyone threaten the safety of his family. He cleaned up the bodies of the 5 people and then came to Zheng Hongsen's mansion. At this time, Zheng Hongsen was still trying to recall whether he had accidentally offended any alchemist recently, but he still had no clue. "Master, in fact, according to my opinion, if we don't do it once and for all, we might as well kill all of Yang Chao's family," Zheng Hongsen's butler said. Zheng Hongsen shook his head. "Although Yang He and Yang Chao are not on good terms, if we kill Yang Chao's family, Yang Jiazhuang will definitely investigate. We'll talk about this later. Let's go into the house and drink, and wait for good news from Ziking and the others." Just as Zheng Hongsen and the others were about to enter the house, a cold voice suddenly rang out. "No need to wait, they won't come back." Zheng Hongsen and the others turned around in shock. When they saw that it was Yang Xiaoshan who came out, they were stunned. "You are Yang Chao's son?" Zheng Hongsen was very surprised. The housekeeper also looked at Yang Xiaoshan in doubt. How did Yang Chao's son break into the Zheng family mansion? At this time, Yang Xiaoshan suddenly flashed and came in front of the Zheng family's housekeeper. The Tangshan divine sword appeared in his hand and slashed across. Suddenly, the sword energy spread like ripples on the lake and instantly passed over the housekeeper's neck. The Zheng family's housekeeper was full of astonishment. Just as he wanted to reach out to touch his neck, he found that he couldn't lift his hand. Then, his head rolled off his neck. There was a loud bang. Blood splattered all over the ground. Zheng Hongsen's face changed drastically, and he clenched the big knife in his hand. However, when he was about to draw his knife, a flash of sword light appeared in front of him. Yang Xiaoshan's long sword was already against his throat. You. Zheng Hongsen looked at Yang Xiaoshan in horror, speaking incoherently. "Didn't Wen Jiahui warn you today?" Yang Xiaoshan looked at Zheng Hongsen coldly. Zheng Hongsen's mind was buzzing. It's you. You are the mysterious alchemist. The person Wen Jiabui was talking about was Yang Cheo's son. Yang Cheo's son was actually an alchemist! Exclamation mark. Zheng Hongsen was shocked. Yang Xiaoshen's eyes were cold, and the long sword slowly pierced Zheng Hongsen's throat. Blood flowed out, and kept flowing onto the sword of the Tangshan divine sword. Zheng Hongsen widened his eyes, and wanted to speak, but he couldn't. In the end, the Tangshan divine sword pierced Zheng Hongsen's neck. Yang Xiaoshen pulled out the sword. Zheng Hongsen wanted to speak, trying to cover his throat. In the end, he fell to the ground, and the blue bricks around him were stained red with blood. He wanted to see Yang Xiaoshen, but he could only see the blue bricks stained red in front of him. He wanted to recall something, but his mind was blank, and everything in front of him finally became completely dark. Yang Xiaoshen glanced at Zheng Hongsen's gradually cold body and left. After returning to his own yard, he slowed down, and began to refine the 4-symbol spirit pill. The innate spiritual pill is much more difficult to refine than the foundation building spiritual liquid. Even if one step is wrong, the pill cannot be made. Therefore, Yang Xiaoshen was extremely careful when refining it. He carefully controlled the fire of heaven and earth, to slowly calcine the medicinal materials. To refine the innate spiritual pill, you can't put all the medicinal materials in at once like refining the foundation building spiritual liquid. Instead, put in a few kinds of medicinal materials first, and after these kinds of medicinal materials are all melted, put in the other kinds. The later it is, the slower the medicinal materials melt, and the more innate true ki is consumed. It was not a big deal at the beginning, but the later it was, the more difficult it was for Yang Xiaoshen. Fortunately, a few hours later, just when Yang Xiaoshen was about to give up, nearly 100 kinds of medicinal materials finally melted completely. In Yang Xiaoshen's nervousness, they gradually condensed into a pill. Seeing that the pill was finally formed, Yang Xiaoshen breathed a sigh of relief, and sat down on the ground, panting. He touched his forehead, which was full of sweat. He didn't expect that refining the Xianshan Lingdan would consume so much innate true energy. Fortunately, his true energy was strong. If it was another Xianshan second level, it would be impossible to refine it successfully. Looking at the crystal clear and charming 4-elephant Lingdan in front of him, Yang Xiaoshen smiled. The quality of his 4-elephant Lingdan was higher than the 2 he got from Hulai before. It was a superior product. With the superior 4-elephant Lingdan, he should be able to break through the Xianshan third level. Chapter 20 Can I see your martial spirit again? However, seeing that it was almost dawn, Yang Xiaoshen was not in a hurry to swallow the 4-symbol spirit pill to practice. He put away the 4-symbol spirit pill and sat cross-legged on the bed to practice the dragon technique. After these days of unremitting practice, Yang Xiaoshen felt that he could awaken the power of the second real dragon in the near future. Once the power of 2 real dragons is awakened, whether it is his strength, defense, or speed, it will increase again. At this time, the sky had just dawned, and Yang Cheo came out of the gate of the house and smelled a faint smell of blood. He looked around in surprise. Finally, he saw several pools of blood on the street not far from the gate. The blood was already very light after drying overnight. Yang Cheo touched the ground with his fingers and judged that the blood should be left last night. Did a fight happen here last night? However, he did not hear any fighting. After checking and finding nothing, Yang Cheo went to the market in Xingyu City to buy some new furniture, but when he passed by the Zheng family mansion, he saw that the Zheng family mansion was hung with white cloth inside and outside, and crying sounds came from inside. Yang Cheo felt strange and asked a passerby. He was shocked. What? Zheng Hongsen was killed last night. Not only Zheng Hongsen, but also his butler was killed. The passerby lowered his voice. I heard that his butler was beheaded. When he was found, his head fell to the ground and rolled several meters away. Yang Cheo was shocked. Although Zheng Hongsen's butler was not a 4th level innate master, he was also in the late 3rd level innate. He didn't expect to be killed. Zheng Hongsen and his butler were killed. Didn't other masters of the Zheng family hear the fight? Yang Cheo asked. The passerby shook his head. No, the masters of the Zheng family didn't hear the sound of fighting. The 2 should have been killed quickly by the other party in one move, so there was no sound of fighting. Killed quickly in one move. Yang Chao was even more shocked. To be able to kill Zheng Hongsen and his butler in one move, this person must have the strength of more than 5th level innate. Who did it? There are not many masters in Xingqiu City who can kill Zheng Hongsen quickly in one move. Could it be a master from the outer city? The Zheng family is also a big family in Xingqiu City. Zheng Hongsen, the head of the Zheng family, was killed, which caused a great shock in Xingqiu City. When Jiahui just got up in the morning and heard the news of Zheng Hongsen's murder, he was immediately scared. Dead. When Jiahui's mind was buzzing, and then he thought of the mysterious alchemist his cousin mentioned, and his hands and feet were even colder. Fortunately, he kicked Zheng Hongsen away last night. If Zheng Hongsen stayed in his house last night, who knows what would happen. The more when Jiahui thought about it, the more scared he became. At this time, in the courtyard of Yang Jiazhuang, Chen Yuan was also distressed. Yesterday, when Yang Xiaoshan and Yang Zhang competed, he said in public that if Yang Xiaoshan defeated Yang Zhang, he would accept Yang Xiaoshan as his disciple. However, Yang Xiaoshan was only a 2nd level martial spirit. He was the vice president of the Divine Sword Academy. Did he want to accept a 2nd level martial spirit as his disciple? If it got out, wouldn't he become a joke of the entire Shenhe kingdom? But if he didn't accept him, wouldn't he become a person who went back on his word? If the news gets out, how will other people look at him? Chen Yuan told the 4th princess Cheng Bibi about his worries. Cheng Bibi heard and said, "Master, don't worry. If Master doesn't want to accept him as a disciple, we will give him some compensation. I don't think he will dare to complain." Yang Xiaoshan, a 2nd level martial spirit, if he worships his master as a teacher, wouldn't he become her junior brother? As the 4th princess of Shenhe Kingdom, she has such a noble status. If a 2nd level martial spirit becomes her junior brother, it will be a big loss of face. Compensation? Chen Yuan's heart moved. Cheng Bibi said, "I have a top grade foundation building spiritual liquid here. Top grade foundation building spiritual liquid is hard to find in the market. When the time comes, give this top grade foundation building spiritual liquid to Yang Xiaoshan. He will definitely be grateful." Chen Yuan nodded and immediately asked someone to call Yang Chao and Yang Xiaoshan to Yang Jiazhuang. Yang Chao had just returned to the house from the market to buy new furniture. When he received the message, he hurriedly brought Yang Xiaoshan to Yang Jiazhuang. Seeing Yang Chao and Yang Xiaoshan coming over, Chen Yuan considered his words and said to Yang Chao and Yang Xiaoshan, "Yesterday when Xiaoshan and Chunja were competing, I said that if Xiaoshan won, I would accept Xiaoshan as my disciple. At that time, I was joking. I hope you don't take it seriously." Yang Xiaoshan didn't want to be Chen Yuan's disciple, so it was okay to hear that. But Yang Chao was very disappointed when he heard it. At this time, the 4th princess Cheng Bibi took out the foundation building spiritual liquid and said to Yang Xiaoshan, "Here is a top grade foundation building spiritual liquid. It is my master's compensation to you." Then she put the top grade foundation building spiritual liquid on the table next to her and waited for Yang Xiaoshan to come and take it. "You haven't thanked my master yet," Cheng Bibi said again. Top grade foundation building spiritual liquid? Yang Xiaoshan took a look at the top grade foundation building spiritual liquid on the table. Now, even the best foundation building spiritual liquid is garbage to him. Chen Yuan and Cheng Bibi really thought he cared about this top grade foundation building spiritual liquid? No, this top grade foundation building spiritual liquid, keep it for yourself. Yang Xiaoshan said to Cheng Bibi. What he couldn't stand the most was Cheng Bibi's condescending attitude. Cheng Bibi originally thought that Yang Xiaoshan would happily step forward to take the spiritual liquid, but when she heard it, she frowned and said, "Yang Xiaoshan, don't be ungrateful. Top grade foundation building spiritual liquid is hard to find in the market. If we hadn't given it to you, you might not even have the chance to see it in your life." Chen Yuan was also very surprised. He didn't expect Yang Xiaoshan to refuse a top grade foundation building spiritual liquid. Yang Xiaoshan glanced at Cheng Bibi indifferently and said to his father Yang Chao, "Father, let's go." At this time, Chen Yuan suddenly said, "Wait." Then he said to Yang Xiaoshan, "Child, we have no ill will or intention against you. Can I take another look at your martial soul?" Although Yang He believed that Yang Xiaoshan had improved so quickly because he swallowed a large amount of foundation building spiritual liquid, he was still confused and wanted to take another look at Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and said, "No, there's no need." Yang Chao said, "Xiaoshan, since Master Chen Yuan wants to see your martial spirit again, you should summon it out and show it to Master Chen Yuan." In fact, he was also confused because he knew that he had never given his son any foundation building spiritual liquid. Seeing his father's eager eyes, Yang Xiaoshan hesitated for a moment and finally summoned the Zuanwu martial spirit out again. Suddenly, a strong black light surged. Chapter 21 I can become a pharmacist in the future. A huge turtle appeared in front of the group. The shell of the giant turtle was black and shiny, with a mysterious aura emanating from the stripes on it, and the black snake was wrapped around the giant turtle, and the light was also surging. Chen Yuan exclaimed in surprise. Compared with more than a month ago, Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul has changed significantly. More than a month ago, there were no stripes on the giant turtle's shell, and the shell was dull and the black snake was very small, but now, the giant turtle's shell was black and shiny, and the black snake was much larger. The black scales on the black snake were flashing a chilling light. Yang Chao did not expect his son's martial soul to change so much, and he was stunned. Cheng Bibi, who was originally furious, could not help but wonder. Although Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul is indeed a giant turtle, it is very different from an ordinary giant turtle martial soul. At least the second level giant turtle martial soul is not so powerful. She looked at her master Chen Yuan inquiringly, but she saw that Chen Yuan did not look at her at all, but approached Yang Xiaoshan, staring closely at Yang Xiaoshan's Zuanwu martial soul, fearing that he could not see clearly. The more Chen Yuan looked, the more he was surprised. He could tell that the giant turtle spirit in front of him was definitely not a level 2 spirit. But he couldn't tell what kind of spirit it was, because he had never seen a giant turtle spirit that could change. Chen Yuan was so focused on observing Yang Xiaoshan's spirit that Cheng Bibi called him several times before he came back to his senses. Seeing that Yang Chao and Cheng Bibi were looking at him inquiringly, Chen Yuan cleared his throat and said, "I still can't be sure what kind of spirit Xiaoshan's spirit is." Yang Chao and Cheng Bibi were speechless. Chen Yuan thought about it and said to Yang Chao, "How about this? Dean Lin is better at studying spirits than I am. Tomorrow, I want to take Xiaoshan back with me and let Dean Lin re-identify Xiaoshan's spirit. If Xiaoshan's spirit is really extraordinary, I will recommend him to the Divine Sword Academy." The Dean Lin he was talking about was the Dean of the Divine Sword Academy, Lin Yang. Yang Chao was overjoyed when he heard it. "Thank you, Lord Chen Yuan. The Divine Sword Academy is the best academy in the Divine Sea country." As a father who doesn't want his son to enter the Excalibur Academy, Yang Xiaoshan opened his mouth and was about to refuse, but seeing his father's ecstatic look, he couldn't say anything. At this time, Yang Zhang, who was knocked unconscious by Yang Xiaoshan yesterday, has fully awakened. He angrily smashed the objects in the yard and roared, "Yang Xiaoshan is only a level 2 martial soul. How could I lose to him?" Yang He frowned and said, "It must be Yang Chao who embezzled the family's money and bought him a lot of foundation building spiritual liquid for him to swallow and practice." However, Yang Xiaoshan is only a level 2 martial soul. Even if he has more foundation building spiritual liquid, he can't break through to the innate realm. And you are the top level 10 Kingluan martial soul. With the training of Lord Chen Yuan and the Divine Sword Academy, you will be able to break through to the innate realm within a few years. When you break through to the innate realm, you can crush him to death with just one finger. Yang Zhang said hatefully, "Father is right. When I break through to the innate realm, I can crush him to death with just one finger. Within 5 years, no, 3 years, I will definitely break through to the innate realm. I will let Yang Xiaoshan know the real gap between him and me." At this time, a guard from Yang Jiazhuang came in to report that Chen Yuan had summoned Yang Chao and Yang Xiaoshan. When Yang Zhang learned that Chen Yuan had summoned Yang Xiaoshan and refused to accept him as a disciple, he sneered, "Of course my master would never accept a second level martial soul as a disciple." However, Master Chen Yuan looked at Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul again and said that he would take Yang Xiaoshan back to the Divine Sword Academy to have Dean Lin re-evaluate him. the Yang family village guard said. Reevaluate. Yang He and Yang Zan were surprised. Yes, and Master Chen Yuan said that, if Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul is extraordinary, he will recommend him to the Divine Sword Academy. The Yang family village guard said. What? Recommending him to enter the Divine Sword Academy? Yang Zan was very angry. Did Master really say that? Yang He, on the other hand, looked calm. Don't worry, Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul is a giant turtle. This is a fact witnessed by everyone. It is absolutely true. Even if it is identified 100 times, it is still a giant turtle martial soul. Then he said with certainty, Dean Lin will never allow a giant turtle martial soul to become a student of the Divine Sword Academy. After listening, Yang Zan calmed down and smiled. What father said is right. He has a giant turtle martial soul. Even the lowest level academy will not accept him. How can the Divine Sword Academy accept him? Half an hour later, Yang Chao and Yang Xiaoshan returned to their new house in Xingyu City. Yang Chao told his wife Huang Ying the good news. Huang Ying was very excited. She said to Yang Xiaoshan, Xiaoshan, if you can really enter the Divine Sword Academy in the future, you must work hard to practice, understand? Yang Xiaoshan hesitated and said, in fact, even if I can't enter the Divine Sword Academy, it doesn't matter. Mother doesn't have to worry about me. Then he said, I should have a good talent for refining medicine. I will work hard to become a pharmacist in the future. Huang Ying smiled and said, you kid, you just say some irrelevant words. Yang Chao also shook his head and smiled. How could this child know how difficult it is to become a pharmacist? If it was so easy to become a pharmacist, Yang Jiazhuang would not be without a pharmacist. At this time, Yang Linga smiled and said, I believe that my brother will definitely become a pharmacist in the future. Then he blinked mischievously. Yang Xiaoshan smiled. He knew that the little girl actually didn't believe that she could become a refiner. She said this just to comfort her brother. Huang Ying gently twisted Yang Linga's nose and said with a smile, maybe Ma Linga can become an alchemist in the future. Mother just knows how to make fun of me. Yang Linga wrinkled her nose and stuck out her tongue. Several people laughed out loud. After a while, Yang Xiaoshan returned to his room, took out the 4-symbol spirit pill and swallowed it. As the dragon art was running, the power of the 4-symbol spirit pill was constantly transformed into innate true ki. The cyclone in Yang Xiaoshan's Tanshan continued to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, it grew to a size of 10 meters. Then, next to the second cyclone, the third cyclone condensed and formed. It was not until late at night that Yang Xiaoshan stopped practicing and looked at the 3 cyclones in his Danshan, feeling happy. The 4-symbol spirit pill lived up to his expectations, and he finally broke through to the 3rd level of the innate. And after this breakthrough, he felt that he was one step closer to awakening the power of the second true dragon. Looking at the night sky, Yang Xiaoshan flashed out of the yard. Tomorrow he will go to the Divine Sword City, so he has to go to the cave in the valley. However, when Yang Xiaoshan was about to reach the valley, he smelled a bloody smell. Then, a shrill sound of a spirit beast being injured came from the front. Yang Xiaoshan's face changed. It was the golden armor beast. The golden armor beast was injured. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Yang Ming, Blind Dog Eyes. Yang Xiaoshan could not help but speed up and rushed forward. Soon, Yang Xiaoshan arrived at the scene. At the scene, 2 people were besieging the golden armor beast, and one was watching on the side. One of the besiegers was Li Guang, the head of the Li family in Xingyu City. The other person was wearing the guard armor of the Xingyu City Lord's mansion. He seemed to be a master of the Xingyu City Lord's mansion. As for the young man who was watching, he was wearing a milky white alchemist's brocade robe and a conspicuous star-shaped medal on his chest. 1-star alchemist. Yang Xiaoshan has been in this world for many years, but this is the first time he has seen an alchemist. The 1-star alchemist's robe and medal are all issued by the Pharmacist Guild, showing the dignity that is different from that of a warrior. There is only one alchemist in the entire Xingyu City. Yang Xiaoshan immediately guessed that the other party was Qiyu Heikyu, who was treated as a guest of honor by the Xingyu city lord. Yang Xiaoshan's guess was correct. This young man was Qiyu Heikyu. Although Qiyu Heikyu was over 20 years old, he had passed the 1-star alchemist assessment a few years ago, and his own strength was that of a 5th level innate master. He could be said to be the most dazzling young talent in the Shenhe kingdom. If it weren't for the cordial invitation from the lord of Xingyu city, and the fact that their families were old friends, he would not have come to Xingyu city. Qiyu Heikyu looked at the blood flowing from the wound on the golden armored beast and smiled. This beast is indeed extraordinary. Its blood actually has golden liquid. It seems that it has the possibility of returning to its ancestors. If we use the blood of this beast to make an elixir, even if it is an innate elixir, it can be upgraded by 1 grade. We must not let this beast escape. The one who surrounded and killed the golden armored beast with Li Guang was Lin Chengxin, the chief guard of the lord's mansion of Xingyu city. He smiled and said, "Don't worry, Mr. Qiyu, this beast can't escape. But don't kill it first. Take it back alive. I want to drain its blood bit by bit." Qiyu Heikyu said this and suddenly stopped, looking into the distance with a look of surprise. In the distance, a child of 7 or 8 years old was walking over. At this time, Li Guang and Lin Chengxin also saw Yang Xiaoshan, and were both stunned. When the two were stunned, the golden armored beast swept its tail and forced them to retreat, then came to Yang Xiaoshan, raised its hands, and gestured to Yang Xiaoshan, looking very angry, excited, and aggrieved. "Are you Yang Ming's grandson?" Although it was a little dark at night, Li Guang still recognized Yang Xiaoshan. Hearing that it was Yang Ming's grandson, Qiyu Heikyu and Lin Chengxin were both stunned. "He is Yang Zhang?" Qiyu Heikyu frowned. If the child in front of him was Yang Zhang, it would be a problem. After all, Yang Zhang is now Chen Yuan's disciple. Li Guang explained, "No, his name is Yang Xiaoshan." Then he smiled and said, "He awakened the 2nd level giant turtle martial spirit." Qiyu Heikyu was relieved when he heard it. Since it is not that Yang Zhang, it will be easy. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the wound on the golden armored beast, and looked at Li Guang, Qiyu Heikyu and the other two with cold eyes. "Kid, you look like you still want to attack us." Qiyu Heikyu smiled at Li Guang and said, "Kill him." Li Guang nodded, and was about to step forward, when Lin Chengxin smiled and said, "No need for Master Li to do it, I'll do it." After that, he walked towards Yang Xiaoshan and said, "Little guy, in your next life, remember not to run around alone at night, otherwise, you will die." After Lin Chengxin finished speaking, he slashed at Yang Xiaoshan with a knife. The knife energy instantly slashed the top of Yang Xiaoshan's head. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan was about to be split in half by Lin Chengxin's knife, suddenly, a sword light cut through the darkness. Lin Chengxin hadn't reacted yet, but felt a pain in his chest. He looked down, and saw that his heart had been pierced by a long sword. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan holding the sword in front of him in disbelief. "You too, in your next life, remember not to run around at night," Yang Xiaoshan said in a cold voice, pulling out the Tangshan divine sword in his hand and sheathing it in one go. Blood instantly dyed Lin Chengxin's chest red. Li Guang and Qiyu Heikyu were also stunned. It was not until Lin Chengxin fell to the ground that they reacted. Li Guang and Qiyu Heikyu were both shocked. They didn't even see how Yang Xiaoshan drew his sword. Lin Chengxin, as the chief guard of the city lord's mansion of Xingyu city, was naturally strong. He was a peak master of the late 4th level of innateness. He should be able to break through the 5th level of innateness within a year. However, such a master was killed by an 8-year-old child. Li Guang and Qiyu Heikyu looked at Yang Xiaoshan in the night, and suddenly felt frightened and retreated at the same time. An 8-year-old child, who had just awakened his martial spirit not long ago, turned out to be an innate master. They felt a chill on their backs. Qiyu Heikyu stared at Li Guang in anger. "Didn't you say that this kid has a 2nd level martial spirit?" Li Guang was about to speak. At this time, Yang Xiaoshan suddenly floated up and swung a sword. The sword light surged. No, it was a sword curtain. The layers of sword curtains bloomed like gorgeous fireworks in the darkness. One sword in a moment. Looking at the amazing sword curtain in full bloom, Li Guang and Qiyu Heikyu's faces changed drastically. This amazing sword curtain actually made them feel a strong threat of life and death. In shock and anger, the two men attacked frantically with their long swords. This was the strongest attack in their lives. Just to resist the sword curtain in front of them, they attacked with sword lights. However, these sword lights were useless. Yang Xiaoshen's sword curtain in full bloom instantly passed through their sword lights without any obstruction and sank into their throats. The two stopped. Li Guang stood there, only to feel that the world suddenly became silent. He held the long sword in his hand and tried to support his body, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not support his body. Li Guang and Qiu Heqiu fell down almost at the same time. The two could even see blood constantly coming out of each other's throats. Yang Xiaoshen walked to the two of them. Li Guang tried hard to grab Yang Xiaoshen, but found that his hands could not reach him. He smiled and said in a hoarse voice, "Yang Ming, he is blind. How ridiculous." Of course, Yang Ming was not the only one who was blind. He had never heard of anyone in the martial arts world who could break through to the innate master level in less than 2 months. How could this Yang Xiaoshen be a second level giant turtle martial arts spirit? Is it a supreme martial arts spirit? Perhaps more than that. This was the last thought in his mind. Beside him, Qiu Heqiu tried to open his mouth and wanted to breathe, but found that breathing had never been so luxurious. Yang Xiaoshen. Qiu Heqiu tried his best to say, wanting to imprint this name in the depths of his soul. He was one of the youngest alchemists in the Shenhe Kingdom, with an infinitely bright future, but now, he died in a small Xingyu city? He felt too much unwillingness in his heart. His face was pressed against the ground, and the ground was so cold. "My master, he will do it for me." At this point, Qiu Heqiu's voice stopped abruptly, and there was no movement. Chapter 23 I can sense the fire of heaven and earth at a distance of 50 meters. Yang Xiaoshen searched the bodies of Qiu Heqiu and the other two. Finally, he found a book of experience in refining medicine on Qiu Heqiu. At the same time, he found a book of spirit snake swordsmanship and a primary refining secret book on Li Guang and Lin Qingxin. Yang Xiaoshen threw the bodies of the 3 people on the mountain road, cleaned up the scene, and then took the golden armor beast back to the valley cave. There were spiritual medicines for external injuries in the valley. Yang Xiaoshen took some and applied them to the wounds of the golden armor beast. To his surprise, the golden armor beast had a strong recovery ability. After a few hours, the wounds healed quickly. Yang Xiaoshen took away all the books and spiritual medicines in the valley cave. It was unknown how long it would take to return from the Divine Sword City this time, so it was useless to leave these things here, so it was better to take them all away. He even took the cold jade bed away. Practicing on the cold jade bed can improve the speed of luck. Over the years, his strength will grow faster. However, just when Yang Xiaoshen was about to leave, the golden armor beast bit his trouser leg and refused to let go. "You want to go with me?" Yang Xiaoshen understood what the golden armor beast meant. The golden armor beast nodded hurriedly. "But, you are too big, it is not convenient for you to follow me." Yang Xiaoshen hesitated and said. It was somewhat inconvenient for him to bring a spirit beast with him on his trip to the Divine Sword Academy. However, the golden armor beast's whole body was shining, and it kept shrinking, and finally became the size of a palm. Yang Xiaoshen did not expect that the golden armor beast could change its size, and was very surprised and surprised. The golden armor beast does not seem to have this ability. Could it be that, as Qiu Heqiu said, this golden armor beast has the possibility of reversion to its ancestors? Yang Xiaoshen looked back at the valley, turned around and left with the golden armored beast. When he returned to Xingyu City, it was still dark. However, the entire Xingyu City was on alert, and soldiers from the city lord's mansion were patrolling and checking everywhere. It seems that the death of Qiu Heqiu and the other two has alarmed the city lord's mansion of Xingyu City. Yang Xiaoshen's face was normal. After returning to his yard, he continued to refine the second 4-symbol spirit pill. The remaining medicinal materials of Fengai and Chamber of Commerce are enough to refine one. With the experience of refining the 4-symbol spirit pill for the first time, Yang Xiaoshen was much more skilled this time. In addition, he broke through the 3rd level of the innate realm, and his true energy was more powerful than before, so refining the 4-symbol spirit pill was not as difficult as before. In just 2 hours, Yang Xiaoshan refined the 4-symbol spirit pill. At this time, the sky was completely bright. He put away the 4-symbol spirit pill. An hour later, Chen Yuan set off to return to the Divine Sword Academy. When passing through Xingyu City, he took Yang Xiaoshan with him. When they parted, the little girl Yang Linga cried, and her eyes were red. "Brother, when you come back next time, you must buy me a lot of delicious food." Yang Linga wiped her tears and said. Yang Xiaoshan was speechless. This girl. He smiled bitterly and said, "Okay, when you come back next time, I will definitely pass the test of the alchemist, and then make a lot of money, to buy you a mountain of delicious food." There is a pharmacist hall in Divine Sword City, where pharmacists can be tested. Yang Linga burst into tears, and laughed when she heard this. The 4th Princess Cheng Bibi was listening to Yang Xiaoshan saying that he would definitely pass the examination to become an alchemist. She laughed and said, "A level 2 martial spirit wants to become an alchemist. What a daydream." Yang Zhang also laughed and said, "Yang Xiaoshan, if even you can become an alchemist, then almost everyone in this world can become an alchemist." Yang Chao and Huang Ying were embarrassed to see their son bragging again. They told Yang Xiaoshan to take good care of himself when he was out. Under the gaze of Yang Chao and the other two, Yang Xiaoshan and his group finally disappeared at the end of the street. What Yang Chao and Huang Ying didn't know was that it wouldn't be long before the name Yang Xiaoshan would resound throughout their Shenhe kingdom. On the way, Cheng Bibi thought of Yang Xiaoshan's threat to pass the alchemist exam and still felt uncomfortable in her heart. She said, "Yang Xiaoshan, do you think that alchemists can pass the exam casually?" Then she laughed. "Can you sense the fire of heaven and earth? I'm afraid you will never have the chance to see the fire of heaven and earth in this life. Indeed, many people will never have the chance to see an alchemist making pills in their lifetime, so they have no chance to see the fire of heaven and earth." Hearing Cheng Bibi ask if he can sense the fire of heaven and earth, Yang Xiaoshan thought of the first time he sensed the fire of heaven and earth within 100 meters, and said, "I can sense the fire of heaven and earth within 50 meters. Cheng Bibi, Yang Zhang and others laughed when they heard it. Even Chen Yuan shook his head and smiled. 50 meters? Why didn't you say you can sense the fire of heaven and earth within 100 meters? Cheng Bibi's guard Liao Chengfei said with a teasing smile. Everyone laughed. Cheng Bibi said, "Yang Xiaoshan, you probably don't know what 50 meters means, right? The 4 great alchemy masters of our Shenhe country can only sense the fire of heaven and earth within 50 meters. Then he asked Chen Yuan, "Master, am I right?" Chen Yuan nodded and smiled. "Yes, with the strength of the souls of the 4 great alchemy masters of our Shenhe country, they can only sense the fire of heaven and earth within 50 meters. Then he looked at Yang Xiaoshan. "At your age, it is impossible to sense the fire of heaven and earth within 50 meters. The implication was undoubtedly that Yang Xiaoshan was lying. Yang Xiaoshan looked calm and did not argue or explain. Then, Cheng Bibi and others talked about Qiu Heiqiu's death. "I don't know who killed Qiu Heiqiu," Cheng Bibi said. "Now the Shenhe Kingdom Pharmacist Association has sent people to Xingyu City to investigate the matter." Chen Yuan shook his head and said, "I don't know if this person is reckless or ignorant. Feng Liaogui only has Qiu Heiqiu as his disciple. Now Qiu Heiqiu has been killed. Isn't he going crazy? Feng Liaogui is afraid that he will overthrow Shenhe Kingdom." Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help asking, "Feng Liaogui?" Cheng Bibi glanced at Yang Xiaoshan and said, "Feng Liaogui is Qiu Heiqiu's master, and one of the 4 strongest alchemists in our Shenhe Kingdom. You wouldn't know it, even if I told you." Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help thinking of the scene before Qiu Heiqiu's death. No wonder he kept talking about his master. However, he didn't take it to heart. Even if Feng Liaogui overthrew Shenhe Kingdom, he would not suspect him. After 2 days of rapid travel, everyone finally arrived at Shenzhen City. Shenzhen City. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the extremely tall walls of Shenzhen City in front of him, feeling the invisible sword energy permeating Shenzhen City, and his mood was excited. Shenzhen City is one of the largest and most prosperous cities in Shenhe country. It is also a place that all warriors in Shenhe country yearn for. In the past, his father also spent some time in Shenzhen City. Enter the city. Chen Yuan waved his hand and entered Shenzhen City with everyone. The guards at the gate of Shenzhen City saw that it was Chen Yuan, Cheng Bibi and his party, and hurriedly saluted. The city was much more bustling than Yang Xiaoshan had imagined. There were all kinds of convoys and masters from all tribes and sects. Yang Xiaoshan also saw the dwarves. The dwarves are recognized as a tribe of weapon refiners. Half of the top 10 weapon refiners in the Wuhan world are from the dwarves. In addition to the dwarves, there are also orcs, elves, etc. After passing through several busy streets, everyone finally came to the Shenzhen Academy. Chapter 24, Growing Martial Spirit. As the leader of the 4 major academies in Shenhe country, the Divine Sword Academy is extremely impressive. The gate is actually made of countless swords. Countless swords are stacked together, and the sword energy permeates the world. Yang Xiaoshan saw the mystery of this gate at a glance. These swords are not simply stacked, but a sword formation. Chen Yuan saw Yang Xiaoshan staring at the gate and said, "This is a sword formation." This sword formation was arranged by the 5 great sword masters of our academy. It is one of the strongest sword formations in our Shenhe country. Yang Xiaoshan nodded and observed carefully. Yang Chang saw Yang Xiaoshan's serious look and sneered, "Don't watch it. So many geniuses in our Divine Sword Academy can't comprehend this sword formation, let alone you. Even if you are given 100 years, you can't comprehend 1/10,000th of it." At this time, in Yang Xiaoshan's eyes, the swords at the gate seemed to come alive and kept evolving in his eyes. Finally, a 5-element sword formation was formed. "Let's go." Chen Yuan interrupted Yang Xiaoshan. "I'll take you to see the dean." He was eager to know what was going on with Yang Xiaoshan's martial spirit. Yang Xiaoshan followed Chen Yuan into the Divine Sword Academy. Cheng Bibi and Yang Zhan followed behind, and they also wanted to know the result. After entering the Divine Sword Academy and passing through a front hall, they came to a square. On the square, there stood 100 huge stone swords. 100 huge stone swords stood on both sides of the square, each of which was 10 meters high, giving people a strong visual shock. This is the 100 Sword Square. It is one of the sword traditions of our Divine Sword Academy. Each stone sword contains a set of extremely powerful sword techniques. Many students often come here to comprehend the sword. Chen Yuan introduced to Yang Xiaoshan casually. "Is there anyone who can comprehend all of these 100 stone swords?" Yang Xiaoshan asked curiously. Cheng Bibi heard it and said, "Do you think it is an acquired martial art that you can comprehend if you want? And you comprehend 100? With your talent, if you can comprehend any stone sword, it would be a great honor for your ancestors." Yang Xiaoshan took a deep look at the 100 huge stone swords. After a while, Chen Yuan brought Yang Xiaoshan to the courtyard where Lin Yang, the president of the Divine Sword Academy, lived. Lin Yang was correcting his disciple who crossing swordsmanship, and when he saw Chen Yuan coming, he stopped. The two exchanged pleasantries, and Chen Yuan explained his purpose. "Oh, a giant turtle martial spirit that can change?" After hearing this, Lin Yang looked at Yang Xiaoshan in surprise. It was also the first time he heard that a second level giant turtle martial spirit could change. "Xiaoshan, show your martial spirit to President Lin," Chen Yuan said to Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan nodded and summoned the Zuanwu martial spirit as he was told. Suddenly, black light surged. The surrounding space darkened. A huge turtle with a black snake, entangled, appeared in front of everyone. Compared with a few days ago, the Zuanwu and the black snake had changed again. There were more veins on the Zuanwu tortoise shell, and it was glowing with a strange light. The black scales of the black snake also had mysterious veins. Chen Yuan also saw the changes in Yang Xiaoshan's martial spirit in the past few days, and was surprised again. Lin Yang saw Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul, with a look of doubt on his face. He could not help but walk a few steps closer and carefully observed Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul. Everyone was silent. After a moment, a huge eye appeared behind Lin Yang. This eye was Lin Yang's martial soul, the Eye of Desolate Heaven. The Eye of Desolate Heaven shone with rays of light, covering Yang Xiaoshan's Zuanwu martial soul. Obviously, Lin Yang's Eye of Desolate Heaven was detecting Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul. After a while, Lin Yang took back the Eye of Desolate Heaven. "Dean Lin, how is it?" Chen Yuan asked hurriedly. Cheng Bibi, Lin Yang, and Hu Crossing also looked at Lin Yang. Lin Yang pondered for a moment and said, his martial soul is indeed the giant turtle martial soul. Yang Zai Ocean's martial soul is a giant turtle, this is certain. When Yang Zhang and Cheng Bibi heard this, they were all happy, and even Lin Yang's disciple Hu Crossing felt relieved. Yesterday, a student from the academy said that Chen Yuan would bring a man named Yang Zai Ocean back to let his master identify his martial soul. It was also said that Yang Zai Ocean had broken through to the 4th level in just over a month, and his martial spirit might be higher than Yang Zhang's. Hu Crossing was the most talented among the many students in the Divine Sword Academy, so he naturally didn't want a student with higher talent than him. Chen Yuan was very disappointed after hearing Lin Yang's answer. He originally thought that Yang Zai Ocean could give him a surprise. At this time, Lin Yang said again, however, his giant turtle martial spirit is a growth type martial spirit. Growth type. Chen Yuan was stunned, and then happily said, then you mean that his martial spirit can continue to grow and upgrade? Lin Yang shook his head and said, not really. I have read in an ancient book that this kind of growth type martial spirit can only grow to a certain extent, and there are innate limitations. For example, his giant turtle martial spirit is a 2nd level martial spirit, and it can only grow to level 6 or 7 at most. Can only grow to level 6 or 7 at most? Chen Yuan was immediately poured with a basin of cold water when he heard it. Yang Zhang, Cheng Bibi, and Hu Crossing completely relaxed. Lin Yang looked at Yang Zai Ocean's martial soul and shook his head, saying, what a pity. Growth type martial souls are extremely rare, but his martial soul happens to be a level 2 giant turtle martial soul. If Yang Zai Ocean's martial soul was level 10 when it awakened, it would have the potential to grow into a super martial soul. When Yang Zai Ocean heard Lin Yang say that his martial soul was a growth type martial soul, his heart moved. Since his martial soul was a growth type, did it mean that his supreme martial soul could continue to grow? You were able to break through the 4th level so quickly. Did you swallow the elixir? Lin Yang asked Yang Zai Ocean. Yang Zai Ocean did not hide it and said, I did swallow it. Now that he was able to break through to the 3rd level of the innate so quickly, the top grade foundation building spirit liquid and the 4-symbol spirit pill he refined played an indispensable role. When Chen Yuan heard that Yang Zai Ocean had swallowed the elixir, he shook his head secretly. He had thought that this child had broken through to the 4th level by practicing on his own. But think about it, it is impossible for his disciple Yang Zhang to break through to the 4th level so quickly, so how could this child break through to the 4th level so quickly by practicing on his own? Chen Yuan thought for a moment and said to Lin Yang, Dean Lin, since Zai Ocean's martial spirit is a growth type, is it possible for him to grow to level 9 in the future? Otherwise, we let him stay in the Divine Sword Academy for a while and observe him? Stay in the Divine Sword Academy. Lin Yang pondered and said, how about this? Let this child stay in the academy for a year. After a year, if he can break through to level 7, he will continue to stay in the academy. Hu Crossing frowned. Of course, he didn't want a student like Yang Zai Ocean who has a level 2 martial spirit to stay in the Divine Sword Academy. The Divine Sword Academy is the first of the 4 major academies in the Divine Sea country. The admission standard is that the martial spirit must be at least level 9. However, since his master had already spoken, he couldn't say anything. Chapter 25 It's good to have a room to live in. Okay. Chen Yuan nodded when he heard Lin Yang asking Yang Zai Ocean to stay for a year. He also knew that Lin Yang had given him enough face by letting Yang Zai Ocean stay for a year. Yang Zai Ocean's face remained normal when he heard this. In fact, he didn't care whether he stayed in the Divine Sword Academy or not. However, his father and mother both hoped that he could enter the Divine Sword Academy, so he would stay in the Divine Sword Academy for a year and leave after a year. After a year, he should be able to break through the Martial King realm. Afterwards, Yang Zai Ocean was arranged in the 4th class of the 1st grade. The 4th class was the class with the worst talent in the Divine Sword Academy. Of course, even the worst, the martial spirit was at least level 9. Therefore, Yang Zai Ocean's secondary martial spirit was an outlier, and Yang Zai Ocean lived in the same courtyard with the students of the 4th class. The courtyard was very large, and each student had an independent room. Yang Zai Ocean's room was arranged at the edge of the back corner of the courtyard. This location was undoubtedly the weakest place in the courtyard with the weakest spiritual energy, and it was also the darkest place, with almost no light. This is your room. Chen Bingayao, the leader of the 4th class, pointed to the room, and threw a key to Yang Xiaoshan indifferently. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the room, frowned, and said, "Aren't there many empty rooms in front?" Chen Bingayao glanced at Yang Xiaoshan. "There are many empty rooms in front, but do you think your talent is worthy of such a good room? Your talent is the worst in the whole academy, to be more precise, the worst in the history of our Shenjian Academy. It's good to have a room to live in, but you still want to be picky." Yang Xiaoshan's face sank when he heard it. "Why, you are not convinced?" Chen Bingayao said, "This is what the teacher asked me to arrange for you. If you are not convinced, go and beg our teacher tomorrow. If you kneel down and beg him, maybe he will move you to a better room." Yang Xiaoshan looked at the other party with cold eyes. Chen Bingayao sneered, "Why, do you want to beat me? The academy prohibits private fights. If you want to beat me, you can challenge the teacher tomorrow." After that, he left. Challenge? It was late at this time, so tomorrow. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the other person's leaving figure coldly. After a moment, he turned around and opened the room. The room was only a dozen square meters, with a wooden bed and a stool. After closing the room, he released the golden armor beast in his pocket, then took out the cold jade bed from the medicine cauldron, and put it on the wooden bed. Sitting on the cold jade bed, he began to look through the rules and regulations manual of the Divine Sword Academy. Soon, Yang Xiaoshan finished reading it, and had a general understanding of the Divine Sword Academy. At the same time, he understood what the challenge was. Then, he swallowed the 4-elephant spirit pill he had refined 2 days ago, and began to practice the dragon technique. Suddenly, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth roared in. The third cyclone in Yang Xiaoshan's Danshan began to grow. Originally, his third cyclone was only 1 meter in size, but it soon grew to 2 meters and 3 meters. Suddenly, there was a crisp crack in his body. The dragon's might rolled up the world. After many days of hard practice, the power of the second real dragon finally awakened. Yang Xiaoshan was happy, and continued to practice the dragon technique, to refine the 4-elephant spirit pill. He did not stop until daybreak. However, after breaking through the 3rd level of the innate realm, the power of the 4 symbols elixir was greatly reduced. He originally thought that he could at least break through to the peak of the 3rd level, but now he has only broken through to the late 3rd level. The 3rd cyclone in the Danshan barely reached 7 meters. However, what surprised Yang Xiaoshan was that his second true dragon power finally awakened. With the power of 2 true dragons, both his strength and defense were greatly improved. Thinking of the challenge, Yang Xiaoshan asked around, and came to the residence of Kaolu, the head teacher of class 4. As soon as he arrived outside the door of Kaolu's residence, he heard the voices of Kaolu and Chen Bingayao. "Give him a room, but he still despises it?" Kaolu said unhappily. Chen Bingayao said, "If you ask me, the teacher shouldn't have arranged a room for him. I really don't know what the dean was thinking, to let him enter the Divine Sword Academy." Kaolu said, "It was the vice dean who thought that his martial soul might grow to level 9 in the future, so he asked Dean Yang for help. Dean Yang couldn't refuse the vice dean's face, so he let him stay in the academy for a year. However, after a year, he will definitely not be able to break through to level 7, and he will have to pack up and leave. But I didn't expect the dean to put him in our class 4, which is really unlucky." Kaolu was very annoyed that a level 2 giant turtle martial soul was put in class 4. The academy would evaluate each level and class every semester every year. Wouldn't Yang Xiaoshan's admission to his class drag his class down? Now the academy has spread that a level 2 martial soul has come to class 4 of the 1st grade. At this time, Yang Xiaoshan pushed the door open. Chen Bingayao and Kaolu's conversation stopped abruptly. "Teacher, here's Yang Xiaoshan." Chen Bingayao saw that it was Yang Xiaoshan, and after being surprised, he said to Kaolu, "You are Yang Xiaoshan." Kaolu heard that it was Yang Xiaoshan, and his face was not happy. "Why did you come to me?" Then he said in annoyance, "Don't come to me if you have nothing to do in the future." Yang Xiaoshan stared at Kaolu. "I have read the system manual of the college. Every freshman can get a high quality foundation building spirit liquid from the teacher, right? Kaolu smiled and said, yes, but do you think you, a second level martial soul, are qualified to enjoy the high quality foundation building spirit liquid? Then he said, you want the high quality foundation building spirit liquid, right? As long as you defeat Bingayao, you will prove that you are qualified to enjoy that foundation building spirit liquid. Also, if you defeat Bingayao, you can choose any empty room. He pointed to Chen Bingayao beside him. Just when Kaolo and Chen Bingayao thought that Yang Xiaoshan would give up, Yang Xiaoshan unexpectedly said, okay, let's go to the martial arts stage now. After that, he turned and left. Chen Bingayao was startled, and then he was happy. Kaolu said with a smile, wait a minute, let him learn your Zuanti swordsmanship. Teacher, don't worry, I will. Chen Bingayao understood and smiled. The two followed him, and at the same time, Kaolu notified all the students in class 4 to come to the martial arts stage immediately. When the students in class 4 heard that the new freshman was going to challenge their team leader Chen Bingayao, they were all excited and rushed to the martial arts stage. Soon, Hu Crossing, Cheng Bibi, Yang Zhang and others also learned the news. You don't know how high the sky is, you challenge the old students of the Divine Sword Academy as soon as you come. Hu Crossing shook his head. Let's go and take a look. Cheng Bibi laughed. She had long disliked Yang Xiaoshan and wanted to see what Yang Xiaoshan looked like when he was beaten into a pig's head. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.